This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate fourth part of What If Naruto was trained by 5th Mizukage during Chunin exams. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Hospital Konoha. Featuring Naruto. When Naruto suddenly woke up, he yelled, "Ga!" and asked, "Huh, where am I?" before swiftly turning around and painfully falling back onto the bed. From his broken arm to his gauze covered left eye, Naruto's entire body was covered in bandages. Naruto turned to face Kakashi, who was lying down in a bed next to him and reading a book. "You've been out for 3 days, I'm surprised you even have the strength to speak," Kakashi said, evoking a laugh from Naruto. "Hi Kakashi-sensei." Naruto greeted Yamato-sensei. "How are you and Yamato-sensei doing?" "I'm doing fine. My leg should be healed in a few weeks. Yamato, however, is a different story," stated Kakashi. Making Naruto freeze, Kakashi remarked. Fearing the worst, Naruto inquired, "Is he dead?" But Kakashi simply shook his head. "We don't know," replied Kakashi, causing Naruto to widen his eyes. "After we killed that Kagaya boy, I rushed over and began to render first aid to you. When I looked back towards Yamato, he was gone." The door to the room opened, letting Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Watasumi enter before Naruto could say anything more. "Brat, you're up at last," Tsunade grinned. "Hey, kid," Jiraiya waved and grinned. "Big brother," Watasumi called as she rushed to give Naruto a cheek kiss. "How are you feeling?" she inquired, making Naruto flinch. "It feels like Gaara kicked my butt again," Naruto remarked. Turning to face Tsunade and the others, he inquired, "What's going on with Yamato-sensei?" To which Tsunade and Jiraiya both scowled. Tsunade reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, we are looking for him, Naruto. Itachi, Karen, Tayuya, Fu, and Kurama have been searching for him," Jiraiya adding, "Along with that, I've had my spies looking out for anyone matching his description." Naruto nodded. "Thank heaven," Naruto exclaimed, opening his eyes wide. "Hey, wait, my sword," he cried in a panic, and Watasumi raised her hand. "Don't worry. I'm fixing it with some help. With a shark-like smile," Watasumi added, "and it's making me a little extra pocket money on the side." Konoha Meat Factory, featuring Udon, Konohamaru, and Renmara. 1, 2, 3 inches, exclaimed Renmara as he brought down the broken executioner's blade once more. The cow was decapitated in one chop when the blade went through its neck. "Okay, then bring out the next one," he said, as the cow's body was rolled away and the next cow appeared. The blood from the cow had seeped into the blade and the sword grew by 2 inches. "This is going to take forever," Udon huffed as he and Konohamaru grabbed another cow, saying, "The sword repairs itself with blood, right? Well, we must have killed like 30 cows and it's only back to 3/4 its length." "Come on Udon. This is for Naruto. Just a few more to go," stated Konohamaru, and Udon nodded. Renmara teased Konohamaru by saying, "Also, if you do this, maybe Watasumi will give you a kiss." "Really?" Konohamaru said with hope, clearing his throat. I mean, whatever," he continued, drawing a rolling of his eyes from Renmara. As Konohamaru and Udon held the cow's head, Renmara said, "Okay boys," raising the sword. "Back to work, 1, 2, 3, he said, lowering the sword. Rejoining Naruto and the group. When Watasumi nodded and Naruto said, "Those guys are doing that for me," he was overcome with tears. "I'm gonna owe those guys a huge favor," he added, causing everyone else to laugh. As she left, Tsunade remarked, "Just get some rest, Naruto. You earned it." "I got to go too." When Watasumi said, "I was brought here by Kisame and Mei because you failed to send a letter. I'm going to visit them. Do you have anything to say?" Naruto gave her a nod. Naruto inquired, "You have a pen and paper?" Alongside Mei, Kisame, Raiga, and Chojuro is Kiri. "Lady Mei, calm down," Chojuro said, causing Mei to glance at him as she hurried through paperwork at a breakneck pace while sitting in the Mizukage office. Mei's normally well-groomed hair was wild and unbrushed, and her eyes were wide with bags under them. Calm down," Mei uttered in a frustrated tone. "Akasaki attacked Naruto again, putting him in the hospital, and I'm stuck here, unable to see him," she added. "Don't tell me to calm down, damn it," Mei roared, and when she saw Chojuro start to cry, she instantly regretted it because he was never the type of person who took offense at being yelled at. "Sorry," Chojuro. I didn't mean to snap at you, she said. When I find those bastard, I'm gonna pull their heads off, I swear. Pain and the Akatsuki have to be reaching the end of their ropes now. Why don't they just piss off and die? Kisame said as he sat down on a couch. Raiga shot him a look. Don't worry, we'll get our payback, Raiga replied, and when we do we'll finish this once and for all, he replied. At that moment, a waterspout emerged from a potted plant, startling everyone. Mei, Kisame, Raiga. Naruto's alive and awake, Watasumi exclaimed. Everyone wore a happy and relieved expression. Mei inquired, did he say anything? Watasumi nodded. Watasumi said, he wrote you a note. It says, Mei, I'm awake and I love you. I'll see you soon, my angel, 8 equals D. As she took it out and read it. Watasumi spoke, then pause. I don't get the last part though. Mei, Kisame, and Raiga all laughed at what Watasumi said. I think that symbol means. Chojuro started, but Mei covered his lips. Watasumi became perplexed when Mei said, it means nothing. Mei then turned to face Chojuro and muttered, shut the hell up, she's a kid. Watasumi thought, weirdo. In the rain country, in an old house. Itachi, Kurama, Karen, Tayuya, and Fu. Another dead end, like always, Itachi said, wiping his blade on an Akatsuki associate's cloths. So he was telling the truth, Karen? He inquired, watching as Karen cleared her glasses. Karen put her glasses back on and said, sadly, yes, chakra doesn't lie. It looks like the order was legitimate. All Akatsuki associates and spies are to cease operations immediately until further notice. So what now? Tayuya questioned, sifting through documents in an attempt to discover a clue as to where, if this pain and the others pulled up stakes, where would they go? Itachi shook his head. Itachi put his mask back on and said, I don't know. He then said, let's head back to Konoha, as he, Karen, and Tayuya entered through the door. When they opened it, they saw what they had anticipated. About 50 dead rain ninja were scattered across the ground, their bodies mutilated and mutilated. Kurama was standing over one of the injured ninja when he took out his sword and gave him a stunning blow to the chest. Kurama turned to face Fu, who was crossing her arms. You're still soft-hearted toward humans, Chome? He asked, grinning behind his fox mask. You didn't kill a single opponent. How merciful of you, he added. Fu responded on behalf of both herself and Chome, saying, I'm not bloodthirsty like you, Kurama, and neither am I. Fu didn't look the same because she was wearing an Enbu outfit that included a beetle mask and a chest plate instead of her usual attire. She offered to join Itachi and his group so that she could be with him and be safe. She was unaware that Kurama was a human, and to be honest, she thought he was pretty crude. Ha ha ha. Soft Biju, soft host, Kurama remarked. Karen approached from behind him and gave him a headshake. Karen said, enough, we have to move, and Kurama nodded. Kurama put his arm around Karen's waist and said, of course, my dear Karen. Besides, all this killing has got my instincts going wild. For you, Karen scoffed. Karen pushed him away and said, keep it in your pants, buddy. Maybe later, if you're good, Kurama laughed. Itachi said, enough horseplay. Let's move out. He then led his squad out of the area. With Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Hiruzen at the Hokage office. Tsunade stated, the situation is dire, while sitting at her desk with her hands folded and staring at her two closest advisors. Yamato is captured, and Sasuke Uchiha is with the Akatsuki, Tsunade added. And if my sources are correct, then the Akatsuki have captured the 3, 4 and 5 tails, Jiraiya stated. Just one of those things could level a whole village. Kurama, Naruto and Karen will have to fight like hell to defeat one each, he stated. And that is not to mention the remaining Akatsuki members. Hiruzen continued. 6 in total, all S-class and dangerous beyond what a normal shinobi can handle. He stated. Me, you, Jiraiya, Itachi and Kisame can handle 1, but the other 2 will still be a problem, he stated. Hiruzen stated, we don't have the manpower, and Tsunade gave a nod. Tsunade stood up and said, I guess I have no choice. She then turned to face the window and said, Jiraiya, send word to Suna, Iwa, and Kumo. And have Naruto send a shark to Mei and Kiri. Jiraiya asked, what are you planning to do, Tsunade? And Tsunade sighed. The 2 men looked at Tsunade, who said, I'm calling a summit of the 5 cages. This is going to be the first summit since my grandfather was Hokage, she added. This is a threat to the whole shinobi world. Tsunade stated, and something is telling B that this is going to need the world in order to win, she added. Meanwhile, with Killer B in the Kumo Mountains. B was reflecting and meditating in the Kumo Mountains while he dreamed of being the greatest rapper in the world, despite his duty to protect Kumo. As B was meditating, he wondered, what rhymes with orange? He was startled out of his reverie by a feeling of someone behind him. B turned around and saw two figures. A blue-haired woman with multiple facial and ear piercings, and a masked man with a hole where his right eye would be. Both had power radiating off of them in waves, and they both had red clouds and black cloaks on. The masked man said, "Killer B. Vessel of the Eight Tails," in a deep voice. B got to his feet and turned to face the two intruders. "Yes, that's me, the rapping Killer B. If you want to beat me, then you should have brought 3, B rapped. "Come with us. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be," Madara thought, activating his Sharingan and putting B on edge. Conan responded, "I would listen to him," while she insisted on a peaceful surrender. B shook his head, narrowing his eyes behind his sunglasses, no dice, and pulled out 2 swords. "I won't be going without a fight," B declared. "Now you're going to have to face me, the mighty Killer B," said B. Mountains in Kumo. With Killer B was assessing the 2 Akatsuki members, glaring at them through his glasses and remarking, "The lady appears to be a ninjutsu user. Can't quite gauge Mr. Mask, though," he considered. Growing impatient, Conan made 6 paper shuriken and sent them in B's direction to start the battle. B quickly brought both of his swords down on the shuriken with a single fluid motion, then charged Madara directly with his swords. With 2 kunai in hand and no sign of concern in his body language, Madara ran towards B. B swung his sword at Madara's head, and the sword phased through. In an attempt to stab B, Madara raised both of his kunai, but B executed a flip over Madara, swinging both swords at Madara's upper back. Madara was able to phase past the sword strikes by using his phasing jutsu once more, but he immediately felt a stinging pain in his lower back and leapt away. He turned to face B as he reached back and noticed blood on his hand. How? He wondered. B pulled out another sword and used chakra to keep it attached to the bottom of his foot. He carried 2 swords in each hand in addition to one on the underside of his foot. It appears that there is a weakness in his phasing jutsu, B thought to himself. He is unable to phase his entire body at once. He begins where the strike is going to land and then it affects the rest of his body. In a stunning display of skill, B pulled out the remaining swords. Taking on an unusual stance, B was now wielding all 7 of his swords, confusing Conan and Madara. Conan reasoned that he can't be serious about wielding 7 swords simultaneously. Is this a performance by a circus? Madara wondered. B declared that he would sting like a bee and float like a butterfly before sprinting towards Madara, who could hardly keep up with him. Madara looked down to see that B had a single sword in his lower right side, just under his liver, after he attacked him in an incredible move that sent him flying back before he could regain his footing. I wasn't quick enough, Madara thought to herself. B was about to launch another attack, but he was forced to duck under Conan's shower of paper shuriken. With a curse, Conan launched herself into the air, using her paper wings to launch a long-range attack on B. As Conan flew around, she thought, we underestimated him. Conan produced several paper bombs and threw them at B. Crap, B muttered to himself as he dove between the bombs. He was able to avoid the first 2 paper bombs by jumping away, but the third one hit him. Before he stopped, something sent B skidding across the ground. He turned to see Madara approaching him. B stood up and prepared to defend himself, blocking Madara's initial kunai strike before slashing back. But Madara dodged the first blow and saw another coming for his leg. Leaping over the sword, Madara kicked B in the face, knocking him to the ground. B noticed his shades were broken when he got back up from the fight and used lightning chakra to charge his swords and create a lightning dome around himself, which caused Madara to jump away. B removed them and tossed them to the floor, saying, "You just broke my shades." Reaching into his pouch, he added, "I'm lucky I always keep a spare on me, in case I see the day." "Wait a minute," B uttered as he stowed his swords and pulled out his notebook. "Shades. Day. Save for later," he jotted down, causing Conan to perspire and Madara to sigh in disgust at his ignorance. "Nice," B remarked. putting his notepad away and drawing his swords once more. "Okay, I'm ready," he added. Madara called the person, "such a buffoon," alongside Darui. After walking for more than 2 hours, Darui was on his way to pick up B for the upcoming Cage Summit and was eager to finish the task. As he strolled down the mountainside path, Darui wondered, why the hell does B live so far away? Oh yeah, he likes to be in complete isolation to perfect his art. Darui started to say, he really needs to, but then he heard multiple loud explosions up ahead. God damn it. What now? He exclaimed, drawing his sword and sprinting in the direction of the explosions. Alongside B, Conan continued to fire paper bombs at B, hoping to incapacitate him long enough for Madara to take control of him. However, B leapt back and landed as the debris rained down. B returned both of the swords he was holding to their sheath and started to teach hand signals as his hands started to spark like lightning. B pulled out both of his swords and aimed them at Conan, using the technique, lightning style, lighting bolts. Conan dodged the attack by making quick movements. When B heard footsteps behind him, he realized Madara was coming toward him. Madara extended his hand in an attempt to seize B and pull him into his pocket dimension. Just in time to prevent Madara from grabbing hold of him, B made a single hand gesture. Then, B turned into lightning, shocking Madara and shocking him. What? Conan thought to herself as she watched in shock. Conan then noticed B emerge a few feet away, grinning broadly. B thought, lighting clones, so simple yet so effective. He sighed, damn, I was kind of hoping that would knock him out, as Madara looked at him as the lighting faded. As Conan prepared herself for another strike, she was struck by a strong lightning jutsu from behind. B and Madara witnessed the attack. Conan was struck by a black lightning panther. Conan struck the ground hard, coughing up blood as she stood up, still smoking from the blow. Darui emerged from his hiding spot at that moment. Look, Darui, it's my main man, B exclaimed, getting Darui to tick mark him. You are not in trouble because he came to join the party, B added with excitement. Darui said, B, shut up with that cursed rhyming, to which B scoffed. B crossed his arms and yelled, learn the damn difference, fool ya fool. It's not rhyme, it's rapping. Dealing with an S-rank Jinchuriki and an A-rank Jonin is not ideal, Madara thought, but it was still a great situation. Madara rushed over and seized Conan, clenching his fists. A strategic withdrawal is necessary, he reasoned as he started to disappear into a vortex. As both Akatsuki disappeared, B yelled, hey, but it was too late. Damn, they got away, B exclaimed in exasperation. We should go, B, Darui said as he raised his sword and crossed. Lord Rakage will want to hear about this, Darui said, and he gave a HMPH. As he started to move around, B remarked, fine, fine. Can you help me pick up my sword? B asked. 4 hours later, in Konoha, alongside Watasumi and Naruto. Despite the bandages covering his body, Naruto was in a training ground with Watasumi when he pulled a scroll from his pouch and opened it to reveal the Kabutowari. Turning on his red chakra armor, Naruto only allowed it to cover his arms. Using his left hand, he grasped the sword while his right held the hammer. Naruto's right arm was still slightly stiff from being broken, so even with the armor's assistance, he still felt heavy. Okay, let's see if I can do this, he said, approaching a boulder and placing the blade's edge on it. With a, hey I did it, and a running Watasumi, Naruto lifted the hammer and struck the blunt side of the blade, causing it to sever through the boulder and stick into the dirt beneath. Thank you, Watasumi exclaimed as she hurried up. But may I inquire why you are using that rather than your executioner's blade? She posed. Before dispelling his armor and flexing his right arm, Naruto picked up the blade from the ground and replaced it in the scroll. I was in real trouble when the executioner's blade was destroyed, Naruto declared. My thought process is that if my sword breaks again, I have a backup that I can use and can use well, Naruto said, pulling out another scroll to reveal his restored executioner's blade. Watasumi nodded. Watasumi grabbed her Nuabari and said, yeah, I understand. Even though I'm using this as my primary, I still have my commas. As she was finishing her statement, an Anbu landed, and Naruto identified it as Kurama. He said, frightening both Naruto and Watasumi, Naruto, head to the Hokage's office now. The Akatsuki just tried to kidnap the 8 tails from Kumo. Naruto growled at him. Okay, let's go, declared Naruto. After a short while, the Hokage Tower, together with Jiraiya, Tsunade, Itachi, Fu, Kurama, Watasumi, and Naruto. In front of Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Itachi stood Naruto, Fu, Kurama, and Watasumi. The four of them waited for them to tell them what had happened. Tsunade said, causing Fu and Naruto to widen their eyes and Kurama to growl. They failed thanks to Darui. He was going to collect the Eight Tails Jinchuriki as the fight was going on. A few hours ago, two Akatsuki members attempted to capture the Eight Tails Jinchuriki of Kumo. I was told about the descriptions about the two attackers, Jiraiya stated. One was the masked man claiming to be Madara Uchiha while the other was my former student Conan, said Jiraiya. They both escaped before they had to fight both B and Darui at full power, Jiraiya stated. Both Conan and Madara are high-ranking members of the Akatsuki, Itachi stated. If they were sent, then the Akatsuki must be in trouble. They have lost more members than they can replace, according to him. By my calculations, they only have 6 members remaining. Itachi uttered the words, Pain, Conan, Zetsu, Sasori, Sasuke, and Madara. Kurama nodded as Naruto asked, so what now? Let's go take those sons of bitches out. Jiraiya and Tsunade shook their heads in response to Kurama's statement. I agree. Let's end this once and for all. It's not that simple, Jiraiya stated. We're still talking about 6S rank threats, and Kami knows how many supporters they have, according to him. Tsunade folded her hands and said, we have decided to push the date for the Cage Summit ahead by a month. We will need a united effort to end this. This isn't just an issue for Konoha. We will meet in the Land of Iron in 2 weeks. Tsunade continued. I will be going with Jiraiya, Naruto, Itachi and Kurama as my escorts. Sarutobi-sensei will be in charge of Konoha while I'm gone, she stated. Fu raised her hand and said, what about me? What will I be doing? Tsunade grinned. Tsunade said, I was able to call in a favor from my dear friend Katsuyu. You will safe and secure in the slug summoning world, she exclaimed, shocking everyone with her out of character excitement. Tsunade grinned and said, it's a lush and wonderful place full of towering trees and plants. You'll feel right at home. Jiraiya said, oh come on, causing Tsunade to turn to face him. Mount Myoboku isn't that bad. You act like I took you to the worst place imaginable. Tsunade shot him a glare. Tsunade, choking on the memory, remarked, all there was to eat was bugs, beetles, and larvae. At least we ate decent food when we visited the Ryuchi caves with Orochimaru, she added, before turning to face Fu. What would you rather eat, fruits and berries or bugs and larvae? Asked her. When Fu considered her 2 options, the idea of eating bugs made him pale. I'll take the slugs, Fu declared, causing Tsunade to smile. Tsunade remarked, good choice, and then gave Jiraiya a shit-eating smile. You lose again, toad pervert, she said, to which Jiraiya scoffed. Women, was Jiraiya's word. A few days later, Itachi, Kurama, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Naruto. On their journey to the Land of Iron, Naruto, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Itachi all left Konoha through the front gates. While walking beside Tsunade, Naruto adjusted the executioner's blade on his back. Naruto caught everyone's attention by stating, well, this is going to be interesting. All 5 cage meeting in one place, he added, grinning a little. His words, I hope when I become Hokage I can do something like this, caused everyone to start perspiring. Tsunade declared, we're going to stop an international terrorist group from taking over the world. Do you really want something like this when you become Hokage? Naruto shook his head. With his arms crossed, Naruto exclaimed, hell no, adding, I want to fight aliens. Or zombies. Tsunade responded by hitting her head. Kurama said, God you're an idiot, giving Naruto a tick. Grabbing his sword, Naruto said, you wanna go fox? Kurama said, bring it orphan boy, and summoned 2 chakra claws. Itachi then grabbed both Kurama and Naruto, holding them in place with his Susanoo's arms. Itachi declared, no fighting. Excellent, he thought to himself, I have to babysit a demon in human form and an idiotic swordsman. Pinching the bridge of his nose, Jiraiya remarked, this is going to be a long trip. Alongside Mei, Ao, Chojuro, Kisame, and Raiga in Kiri. Mei hurriedly walked out in front of Kiri, saying, hurry the hell up you 4. I want to be in the land of iron ASAP. Trying to keep up, Ao and the others trailed behind her. Lady May. I know that you want to be at the meeting but... Ao started, but May interrupted him. May grinned and said, I just want to have my Naruto back in my arms again. I don't care about the damn meeting, as she left the village. Even though we haven't been separated that long I still miss him, May replied. Kisame pointed up to Kami and said, Kami above. Our Mizukage wants us to hurry because she misses her boy toy. This made May turn to face him. He said, there has to be some sort of abuse of power here, and May smiled back at him. May cheerfully said, Kisame, shut up, or I'll kill you. Kisame paled at this, and Ao grinned. You understand how it feels now, Ao thought. May exclaimed, enough teasing, let's get moving. She and her group then proceeded to travel along the path toward the Land of Iron. Land of Iron. Location of Cage Summit. Naruto, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Itachi, and Kurama in attendance. The Cage Summit building's doors flew open, letting in a burst of snow as Naruto, Tsunade, and the others entered before the doors shut behind them. With a fierce snowstorm outside, Naruto, clad in a thick winter cloak, shook off the snow as the building's warmth hit him. Naruto shivered and looked at the others. Why the hell is this country so cold? Next time, let's pick somewhere warm to have a meeting. Tsunade nodded and removed her coat, saying, I agree. I'm not built for this weather. Jiraiya remarked, Yugagakure is nice this time of year. There are hot springs, nice food, and lots of lovely ladies that'll make you feel alive. Tsunade then gave him a headshake. Standing there in his Anbu uniform without winter clothes, Kurama remarked, you humans are so weak. You complain over a little breeze. This cold is nothing. This caused everyone to give him a death glare. Itachi said, removing his clothes and massaging his hands, I wonder how Fu is doing. I hope she's okay. Slug calling the world. Using Fu cheered to no one in particular as she was, swimming in the water and her clothes were folded neatly on the lakeshore. This is so fun. I haven't gone skinny dipping since I was a kid, Fu thought to herself as she dove under the water and observed all the underwater life in the glistening clear water. She then swam back up for airs. As she started to perform backstrokes across the lake, Fu remarked, and the best part is, there are no perverts to worry about. Especially that old guy with white hair, she said, referring to Jiraiya. Returning with Tsunade and Naruto while the others were setting up their rooms, Naruto and Tsunade strolled to the cafeteria to grab some food. When they entered, Naruto noticed that there were numerous samurai sitting down to eat. Naruto remarked, damn, there are a lot of people here, and Tsunade nodded. When they heard someone speak up, Naruto and Tsunade started to move toward the food line. A female voice called out, hey sword boy, and Naruto turned to see someone he hadn't seen in a long time. With a fan on her back and a smile on her face, Temari stood there. Long time no see, Temari said, and Naruto grinned back. Naruto approached Temari and said, how are you doing? It seems like forever ago. They hugged, and he asked, what are you doing here? Temari lifted up the Cage hat. With wide eyes, Naruto said, I've been the Cage for about 2 years now. Ever since my father was killed by Orochimaru and Gaara was killed, there was an open spot between me and Kankuro. Temari continued. Temari nodded as Tsunade remarked, oh yeah, the title of Cage is only available through your clan, right? Temari answered, yes it is. Therefore, as the stronger sibling, I was chosen. Naruto then started to act sheepish and scratched the back of his head. Yeah, Gaara. Naruto sighed. Listen to Temari about that, I'm sorry I had to do that. It's just with him turning into a giant sand raccoon and going Godzilla on the village, he replied. I hope you don't hold it against me. Temari placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. It's okay. I don't blame you, Temari replied softly. I blame my father for how Gaara turned out. If he wasn't so cold and power-hungry, the Gaara could have been someone great. She replied. Grinning, Naruto turned to face her. Hey, I'm going to grab some food real quick. Can we sit together? Naruto asked, and Temari nodded. Thanks, Temari. I appreciate it. Temari said, that sounds good to me. Naruto and Tsunade then went to get their food. Naruto got a bowl of ramen, while Tsunade got a plate of onigiri, and they sat down with Temari. Tsunade chuckled as she asked, so what's new with you, Naruto? Do you have a girlfriend yet? Temari rolled her eyes as Tsunade exclaimed, oh boy, shaking her head. You can't even imagine what he's going to say. Tamari said, "Surprise me," and Naruto burst out laughing. Naruto remarked, "Well, she's actually coming from Kiri," and Tamari gave a nod. Tamari said, "Oh, I see. She's a part of the Mizukage's team." This infuriated Naruto and Tsunade, who started laughing. Tamari exclaimed, "What's so damn funny?" and Naruto wiped a tear from his eye. "Take a look at this," Naruto said, pulling a picture out of his pocket and giving it to Tamari. When Tamari opened the photo, she was shocked to see Naruto holding an elderly woman on his lap. Tamari exclaimed, "Wow, she's gorgeous," as she studied the picture. "She looks like a supermodel. Those legs, that bust, that hair, and that," Tamari continued, before realizing what was on her head. When Tamari noticed the Mizukage hat, her eyes almost burst open, and Tsunade started eating her food. "That's a timeless sentiment," Tsunade said. Following a few hours, Mei, Ao, Kisame, Chojuro, and Raiga. Mei, shaking from the cold and covered in snow, walked through the building's entrance. "That was miserable," Mei remarked, shaking the snow out of her hair. As he removed his cloak, Kisame remarked, "This place is too goddamn cold. Why the fuck did we have to come here? Why not somewhere warm like Yuga?" Ao then interrupted. When Mei turned around, Ao continued, "Because we needed a neutral area that doesn't have ties to any one side, and this area was chosen over 60 years ago by the first of the cages in order to." As soon as Mei entered the building, she said, "Ao, shut up. I just want to warm up and relax." Mei considered, and preferably warm up next to Naruto. "Lady Mei, can we get something to eat?" Chojuro asked as Mei and the others entered the building and noticed the cafeteria. Ao turned to face him. Ao firmly stated, "Chojuro, you are a seven-sword man. You cannot," before Mei turned and grinned in his direction. Mei said, "Ao, shut up, or I'll kill you," and Ao paled and gave a forceful nod. "Of course, Chojuro," Mei replied, causing him to smile. As soon as Mei and the others entered the cafeteria, they saw two other blondes and a head of familiar blonde hair with spikes. With Naruto's mouth hanging open, Tamari continued, "And then I used my fan to cave in the pyramid in order to trap it inside. Then I had the sealing team seal it off in order to ensure it never gets out again." "Aw man. You got to fight a mummy," Naruto grumbled. "All I fought was that bone guy, but you got to fight a mummy. Life's not fair sometimes," he replied. Tsunade attracted the attention of Tamari and Naruto with, "You should have seen the time me, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru fought Hanzo the Salamander. Now that's a story. So we were on a mission in AIM and then. Hey brat, look, your girl is here." Tsunade pointed behind Tamari, and both of her fellow blondes turned to look. "Mei," Naruto leapt up and cheered. "Naruto." Mei cheered back, running over to give him a hug. "I missed you so much," she said, sharing a hug with Naruto. Tamari remarked, "Damn, she's prettier in person. Hey, I just realized, 3 of the 5 Kage are women." Tsunade's eyes widened at this. "Oh damn. I just realized that too." Tsunade responded. "Wow, the Slug Princess, the Sand Princess and the Slayer of Yagura. I think this is the first time in history where there were more women Kage than males," she responded. After breaking up their embrace, Mei turned to face Tsunade and Tamari. "Hello ladies, I apologize for the sudden interruption, but I need to borrow Naruto," Mei said, and Naruto gave her a quick glance. Mei turned to Naruto and grinned, "Huh, what's wrong Mei?" Mei remarked, "We need to talk in your room," and Naruto arched an eyebrow. "Huh, about what?" asked Naruto, causing Mei to perspire. Mei emphasized, "We need to talk," and Naruto became even more perplexed. Mei sighed and bent over to whisper in Naruto's ear. With wide eyes, Naruto straightened his posture and said, "Later Granny, later Tamari. I got to talk with Mei." He then took Mei's hand and hurried out of the cafeteria. Raiga referred to him as a lucky bastard. Kisame said, "I'll say." Tamari stood up and said, "I better get going too. Have a nice evening, Lady Tsunade." Tsunade nodded. "Good night, Tamari," Tsunade said, to which Tamari nodded before leaving the cafeteria and proceeding down the hallway. While doing so, Tamari noticed a man approaching her. He had long black hair pulled back into a ponytail and was dressed in an Anbu mask. Itachi said politely, "Excuse me, miss. Have you seen Lady Tsunade?" Tamari answered, "Yes, she's in the cafeteria. She thought, wow, he sounds nice, I bet he's cute under that mask. Tamari asked, who are you, if you don't mind? And Itachi bowed. Tamari bowed in response to Itachi's statement, Weasel, Anbu of Konoha. Tamari grinned and said, Tamari, the fifth Kazekage, which caused Itachi to glance up. Itachi said, it's a pleasure meeting you, Lady Kazekage, before straightening up. I must get going. I appreciate your help, he added before turning to leave. As Tamari turned to leave, she grinned and said, maybe I'll talk to him later. I wonder if he's single, Tamari pondered. 3 days later, within the conference room. The meeting was about to begin, and Naruto and Ao were standing on either side of Mei as she sat down. Naruto glanced over and noticed the others. Tsunade sat between Itachi and Jiraiya, her hands folded in front of her face. The Raikage was impatiently waiting for the meeting to start with Yugito and his second-in-command, Darui, by his side. Tamari was seated between her advisor, Lady Chiyo, and her brother, Kankuro. Finally, there was Tsuchikage Onoki, accompanied by his bodyguard Akatsuchi and granddaughter Kuretsuchi. The leader of the Land of Iron, Mifune, was the last person present. He declared, I hereby call this summit to commence, then turned to face Tsunade. I recognize Tsunade's Senju to begin the talks, he said, and Tsunade cleared her throat. My fellow Kage. Over the past few months there have been numerous attacks on our villages and out Jinchuriki. Tsunade stated as she looked around. From what we gathered 3 Biju have been taken. 2 from Iwa and 1 from Kiri, she continued. Along with that, 4 other Jinchuriki have been attacked, and without the efforts of the teams of Leaf, Cloud and Mist Shinobi they would have been taken as well. Tsunade stated. And all this points to one source. The group known as the Akatsuki, she continued. Tamari said, I called to speak, and Mifune nodded. How has this happened? Why were 3 Biju taken so easily? The 3 Tails had no host, but why did Iwa not inform us until after the fact that their Jinchuriki were missing? Mifune questioned, and Onoki went to investigate. Slammed his fist against the desk and Onoki said, I could not risk such information getting out. If I did, then Iwa would appear open for attack. 2 of our most powerful shinobi were taken, and we could look weak to any other village. I want to speak, I replied. Mifune nodded. When Yugito here was taken from Kumo by the Akatsuki, I informed Konoha and Kiri immediately. Regardless of how it made the village look, he replied. If it wasn't for them, the Akatsuki would have 4 Biju, and Kumo would have lost one of our best shinobi. He stated. It was not about strength. It was about pride, and if you asked for assistance we could have done something, he continued. Jiraiya raised his hand as Onoki declared. I do not trust any of you. Iwa hasn't recovered from our last war against Konoha, and we couldn't risk it. Looking at Onoki, who was now frowning, Jiraiya said, or is it because you knew that it was your fault? Because my informant told me that Iwa has been using the Akatsuki for as long as 8 years ago, Jiraiya said. Itachi thought, informant, I wouldn't use that word exactly. Naruto exclaimed, what the hell? You've been using the Akatsuki. What are you, stupid or something, old man? Onoki shot him a look. Onoki remarked, I don't even know who you are, boy. You better hold your tongue, to which Naruto responded with a growl. Onoki's eyes widened as Naruto introduced himself, saying, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, Konoha Shinobi, 7 swordsman, and son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto nodded and said, wait, you're a Konoha ninja. Then, how the hell are you a 7 swordsman, and why the hell are you on the Mizukage's side? Mei grinned in response. Mei reached over to grasp Naruto's hand and said, because Naruto here is my lover. They have been dating for a little over 3 years. Naruto grinned and started to laugh. With a sly smile, Naruto declared, I'm totally dating this lady, and Onoki became very curious. Onoki declared, I don't understand the world anymore. A foreigner dating a Kage, he added. You're right, Jiraiya, he rubbed his temples, and the fact that he wasn't even a Chunin when they started dating. Said, fucking bullshit. Mifune said, let's get back on track. Lady Tsunade, what is your plan? As Tsunade glanced around. I call for a coalition of all 5 great nations in order to battle the Akatsuki and their followers, Tsunade stated. Konoha has 5,000 shinobi, Kumo and Iwa have the most at 6,000 each. Kiri has 4,000 and Suna has the least at 3,000, she stated. Mei interrupted Tsunade, saying, With our combined forces we could engage the Akatsuki and destroy them. And we'll need to combine our forces to stand a chance, Mei continued. The Akatsuki has 6 remaining members, all S-class threats. Not including the fact they have 3 Biju and who knows how many foot soldiers under their thumb, she continued. No matter that I'm in. Stated in a shocking manner. A few days ago they tried to kidnap my brother B. If Darui didn't get involved, who knew what would have happened? He replied. The Akatsuki are a threat we need to dispose of. You have my support, stated. Mifune looked around and said, let's put this to a vote. All those in favor of forming a coalition raise your hands. Mei, Tsunade, Tamari, and all held up their hands, but Onoki did not. The other 4 cages watched in irritation as Onoki declared, Iwa has nothing to gain from this fight. We lost our 2 Biju already. I will not sacrifice the lives of my ninja for something as petty as revenge. Iwa will remain neutral. A vortex materialized in the center of the room, and a voice said, wise choice, old man. Madara emerged from the vortex and stood straight, saying, best to acknowledge defeat early, you learned from your past war. The masked man in the center of the room caused everyone in the room to stand up and grab their weapons while Naruto gripped his sword, ready to strike. Looking around, Madara said, I am coming for the remaining Jinchuriki. You cannot hide them from me. The Akatsuki will see its plan come to fruition. Naruto growled. I did not come to fight, just to deliver a message. Shut the fuck up, roared Naruto as he swung his sword forward, crouching, and left Madara standing there unharmed save for a small cut on his Akatsuki robe. Madara remarked, you got faster, boy, but not fast enough. Like I said, I did not come here to fight. I came here to say this, he added, surveying his surroundings. Then, shocking them all, Madara Uchiha and the Akatsuki declared, I Madara Uchiha and the Akatsuki, hereby declare war on the nations of Konoha, Kumo, Kiri, and Suna. Make peace with whatever god you wish. For in 6 months' time you all will fall and your Jinchuriki will be mine, he declared, starting to vortex away. Good luck, Naruto and Itachi. Madara wished as she turned to face Itachi, who had removed his mask to show a sly and angry face highlighted by a glowing Sharingan. Itachi remarked, we won't lose to you, and Madara laughed. We'll see, Madara said as he disappeared. Everyone in the room fell silent as the cry of war reverberated through their minds. God damn it, Tsunade exclaimed, smashing the table in half with a punch. Looks like the 4th Great Ninja War has now begun, she said. Meanwhile, with Madara, unknown location, you're back, a voice said as Madara emerged from his vortex and entered a concrete bunker. Sasuke was standing there, his wounds from the fight still on him. Is it time? He asked, to which Madara nodded. As they started to leave the room and go down the hallway, Madara said, yes, to which Sasuke nodded. We have 6 months to prepare, he added. Sasuke remarked, I still get Itachi, and Madara gave a nod. As soon as Madara and Sasuke arrived at a platform with a metal fence on the edge, he stated clearly, of course, but remember your role. Sasuke looked from the platform to the open space below and said, I won't. Beneath Sasuke and Madara were more than 2,000 men. The majority wore auto ninja gear, while some still wore the scrubs they had worn during Orochimaru's experiments. We're going to war, Sasuke declared in a commanding voice. The Auto members yelled, yes sir, in acknowledgement as Sasuke grinned. Itachi. Naruto, Sasuke thought to himself, get ready, for your days are numbered. 3 days following the Cage Summit, Naruto, Mei, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Hiruzen, Itachi, and Kurama were present at Konoha, the Cage Tower. As Naruto and the others stared at Tsunade, she rubbed her temples in frustration and moaned, God damn it, this is not how I expected things to turn out. Naruto said, oh come on, Granny, it could be worse, and Tsunade turned to face him. Tsunade asked, rubbing the back of his head, how can it get worse than the fact that the world's most dangerous terrorist organization just declared war on 4 of the 5 great nations? Naruto scowled. Naruto uttered, well, aliens could attack, to which Tsunade slammed her head against her desk. Tsunade thought, oh my god, this kid is a fucking idiot. Jiraiya caught her attention by saying, all not lost, Tsunade. It'll take time for the Akatsuki and their allies to gather up their forces. Yes, and in addition to that, I have an idea, Mei remarked as everyone gasped in shock. Tsunade inquired, and that would be, to which Mei grinned. Mei said, do nothing and let them come to us, which confused everyone. We just form a plan around them because the Akatsuki want the remaining Biju, right? Mei approached the wall map and gestured to northern Kiri, saying, we could lure them over there and fight them on our home turf. North Kiri is completely unpopulated by anyone. Hiruzen took a puff from his pipe and remarked, that makes sense. Along with that, we also have another advantage. Naruto interrupted, saying, we have 5 of the tailed beast in our possession. Kurama, Yugito, Fu, Utakata, and B are still on our side. Yeah, and we also have 5 of the 7 swordsmen, said Naruto. Me, Kisame, Raiga, Chojuro and Watasumi. Kisame is the heavy hitter but the rest of us aren't slouches. Not to mention 7 cage level shinobi. Hiruzen responded. Me, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Tamari, Itachi, and Mei here. We are some of the strongest shinobi who ever lived. Jiraiya and Tsunade gave him a shocked look. Sensei, you're too old to fight, Jiraiya remarked as Hiruzen sped past Tsunade and Jiraiya in a blur of motion. Hiruzen held both Tsunade's hair ties and Jiraiya's forehead protector, since Tsunade's hair now hung loosely and Jiraiya's was missing. I'm old, not useless, Hiruzen replied. Besides, if I don't go then Sume will have to. Jiraiya and Tsunade both sighed in defeat as Hiruzen said, it's better for her to be alive and raise young Tobirama. If she dies and I'm left with him I just might die before he even graduates the academy. I agree with the plan, Itachi stated, I know what the remaining Akatsuki are capable of. It'll be best if we do this in a place that's not populated. Tsunade turned to face Mei and said, very well then. Since it's your country, you'll be in charge of the battlefield. With a nod from Mei, Tsunade turned to face Jiraiya. Jiraiya, tell Kumo about the plan and tell it to get his shinobi ready, she said. That's another problem, Kurama said while speaking out. Unless I'm mistaken, even it was all 5 great nations combined, I doubt we can even get 10,000 shinobi together. We may get 8,000 if we scrape the bottom of the barrel. Shit, he's right, Mei responded. Kiri has maybe 2,000 at most. We can spare 1,500 and that's pushing it. Konoha has 3,500 and can maybe spare 2,000, stated Itachi. Suna last I checked has about 1,500, so they can maybe spare 1,000, Jiraiya replied. Kumo has most at about 5,000, Tsunade stated. It will probably send half since I doubt he'll send any more due to internal security reasons. Naruto scratched his chin and said, so, 7,000-ish. At that moment, he had an idea. Hey, wait, I know where we can get more help. Jiraiya grinned as everyone gawked at him in shock. Jiraiya said, well, spill it, kid. Who do we ask? And Naruto grinned. The sharks and the toads, stated. Watasumi is the heiress to the head of the Mako Shark House. I'm sure they along with a couple other will help us. Wow, that was a great idea, Jiraiya remarked, clearly impressed. I'll ask the toads for help if they can, she continued. I guess I can also ask the monkeys if they could help, Hiruzen replied. King Enma is always ready for a battle. Tsunade stood up and said, very well then. Let's get to it. Naruto, Jiraiya, Sensei, go and ask you summons. Tsunade gave the order. Itachi, go and inform Suna and Kumo in Jiraiya's place. Itachi put on his mask and said, yes, Lady Tsunade. Let's go Kurama. Let's find Karen, Tayuya, and Fu. With a laugh, Kurama said, copy that, donning his mask. They both vanished in a whirl of leaves. Alrighty then, Naruto replied. Mei, do you want to come with me to get Watasumi? Mei grinned and nodded. Mei replied, sure, and she and Naruto left the room, leaving Tsunade, Hiruzen, and Jiraiya by themselves. Jiraiya asked Hiruzen, do you think we have a chance? And he nodded, puffing on his pipe. Sure, we do, Hiruzen replied, though it's a slim chance nonetheless. Hyuga compound. Shortly after, alongside Watasumi, Hanabi, Renmara, and Konohamaru. Hanabi and Renmara were observing Watasumi and Konohamaru sparring in the center of the training field. Konohamaru struck Watasumi with a barrage of punches, but she deflected and sidestepped them. Konohamaru attempted to hit Watasumi again, but Watasumi deflected the blow and tightened her grip on Konohamaru's arm. Konohamaru thought, oh crap, and then Watasumi threw his shoulder and slammed him to the ground. After Konohamaru fell hard to the ground and began to cough, Watasumi placed her foot on his chest. "Are you giving up?" smiled Watasumi. "Mommy, step on me," Konohamaru uttered. Konohamaru took a step back and Watasumi asked in confusion, "Wait, what did you say?" Konohamaru said, "I said I give up," and Watasumi moved her foot. "Damn it, why did she? Wait, I'm really sad that she's not stepping on me anymore. What's wrong with me?" Konohamaru thought to herself. "Well, that was fairly decent," Renmara remarked while sipping his tea. "Konohamaru isn't losing as quickly or frequently anymore." Hanabi stated, "He still loses 90% of the time." When Naruto and Mei arrived at the compound, they said, "Hey guys, how's it going?" "Naruto," Watasumi exclaimed as she hurried over, asking, "What are you doing here?" To which Naruto replied with a smile. Naruto said, "I need to talk to your pops," and Watasumi gave them a confused look. Mei stated, "We need help and we hope that he can provide it," and Watasumi gave a nod. "Okay," Watasumi replied as she approached Hanabi, asking if she could use your family's koi pond. Hanabi spoke, looking perplexed. Watasumi started walking toward the gardens, and Hanabi replied, Sure. "Follow me, guys," Watasumi commanded as she led the group to the Hyuga koi pond. Once there, she entered the pond and stood in the center, calling out to Naruto and Mei to enter. As soon as they both entered the water, Naruto and Mei experienced a shock to their systems. "Oh shish. This water's cold," Naruto moaned as he and Mei made their way to the center. "Hopefully, the water is free of bacteria," Mei remarked while strolling alongside Naruto. When they got to the middle of the pond, Watasumi grabbed their hands and said, "Okay, guys, take a deep breath and close your eyes." Naruto and Mei both did as Watasumi closed her eyes, and the pond briefly lit up before Watasumi, Naruto, and Mei dove under the water, giving Hanabi, Renmara, and Konohamaru wide-eyed looks. As Konohamaru dashed into the center of the pond and glanced around, he exclaimed, "Holy crap, they're gone." World of Shark Summoning. Naruto, Watasumi, and Mei. A bubble of air formed around Mei's head, allowing her to breathe as she started to swim underwater, and Naruto, Watasumi, and Mei all hit the water and opened their eyes. Watasumi was in her shark form. Naruto was in his shark sage mode, and Mei made a hand gesture. Watasumi greeted Mei, saying, "Welcome to the shark summoning world." Mei was astounded by what she saw, which included a massive underwater mansion surrounded by a field of seagrass and sand on the bottom, as well as a large forest of kelp that stretched upwards seemingly forever. Mei exclaimed, "I've never seen anything like this," as she swam to the bottom, reached out to pick up a seashell, and watched a hermit crab return. As Watasumi started to swim towards the manor, she said, "Come on, let's go talk to Daddy. And I'll get you sea apple so you can breathe." Naruto gagged at that. Naruto looked at Mei and said, "Oh god, you have to eat one of those nasty things. Hope you like oysters." Naruto and Watasumi started swimming together, and Mei followed. Mei was swimming with Naruto and Watasumi when she thought, "Please, how bad could it be?" Meanwhile, with Hiruzen in the world of monkey summoning. There were hundreds of monkeys of all different sizes and colors surrounding Hiruzen and the higher-ranking monkeys, waiting to hear what Hiruzen had to say. Hiruzen was standing before the Monkey King Enma and several other high-ranking members of the monkey summons as they sat in the middle of a clearing. Hiruzen cleared his throat and spoke. "Hiruzen Sarutobi, my old ally," Enma said to him. "You haven't been here in nearly 2 decades. What urgent news do you bring?" "My village, nay, the entire world is at stake. An organization known as the Akatsuki has declared war on Konoha and seeks to conquer the world," Hiruzen said. "I come to ask." A monkey elder interrupted Hiruzen, saying, "Wait, did you say war?" he inquired, his smile creeping in. "Oh, yeah," replied Hiruzen. The monkeys whispered among themselves, "War," and, "Did he say war?" and, "I think he said war." To Hiruzen's surprise, the entire gathering broke out into a chant of, "War, war, and war finally." Enma stood up and yelled, "WAR." The whole area went into a frenzy and Hiruzen went wide-eyed. "It has been nearly 100 years since the monkeys have been to an all-out war," Enma said eagerly, "We will help." Hiruzen was taken aback and thought, "Wow, that was easier than I thought." He then wondered if Jiraiya was having any luck. Jiraiya and Toad summoning the world Gamabunta looked down at a startled Jiraiya and said, "No." Jiraiya yelled back, "Why the hell not? You owe me. I've busted my ass for you for over 40 years. I agree with Jiraiya boy. Pa replied to Gamabunta. He is the last person who signed the Toad summoning contract. We cannot reject his help. Sure we can, Gamabunta replied. This little human promised us another summoner and someone to learn Toad Sage mode. Yet his apprentice is dead and his little tadpole is a summoner of the sharks. I will not work with someone who doesn't keep their end of bargain. Jiraiya sighed. Hell, I'll even find another worthy person too. Jiraiya yelled, damn it. Is there any way I can get your help? Pausing, he smirked mischievously. Hey ma, pa, Gamabunta. I have an idea, grabbing their attention. Ma inquired, what is it? And Jiraiya grinned even wider. Jiraiya teased them all by saying, I think I can find another person to sign the contract, adding, but let's say, in about 8 to 10 years. Pa said, Who are you thinking about? And Jiraiya burst out laughing. One day later, Konoha. With Hinata now, as Hinata turned the page of the insect book Shino had given her, she was sitting on a rock in the Hyuga garden next to the koi pond, reading about monarch butterflies. Suddenly, a column of water shot up from the koi pond, splashing Hinata. Kaya! Hinata exclaimed, jumping up. As Hinata was in her taijutsu stance, Naruto and Mei both unexpectedly reappeared on the koi pond within the Hyuga compound, shocking her. Naruto, Lady Mizukage, a startled Hinata exclaimed. Naruto and Mei emerged from the water, saying, Hey Hinata. How's it going? And, thanks for letting us use your koi pond. Hinata was left standing there in shock as Naruto and Mei left the compound. Hinata asked herself, did I miss something? 20 minutes later, in the Hokage Tower, alongside Naruto, Mei, Hiruzen, and Tsunade. Tsunade's eyes widened at this. The sharks are willing to help us, Naruto smiled. Watasumi put in a very good word for me, so we have 1,000 sharks willing to fight. Wow, 1,000. That'll help out a lot, Tsunade replied. How about you sensei? The monkeys actually are thrilled about a war, Hiruzen informed them all. Apparently they were bored as they have been at peace for so long. They offered 1,000 as well. Mei remarked, well shit. Looks like we're off to a good start. I wonder how the pervert is doing. Suddenly, Jiraiya materialized out of a puff of smoke. Jiraiya greeted everyone with a smile and said, good news, everyone. The toads will help. He then added, under one tiny, little condition, to which Naruto interrupted. Jiraiya gave Naruto a head rub as he said, cool, what is it? Mei was furious, while Naruto was shocked when Jiraiya stammered, well, I kind of promised that as you and Mei had a kid that it would become the next signer of the Toad contract, and learn Sage mode, and the owner. What the hell, Sage, a pervert, exclaimed Naruto. Mei yelled, you will not take mine and Naruto's hypothetical children, and Jiraiya raised his hands in response. 1,000 Toad warriors to increase our chances of saving the world, Jiraiya said. Save the world. But me and Mei aren't even married yet, Naruto argued. We can't hive kids until then, it'll make her look bad. Yes, it will. Wait what? Mei started, then paused to ask Naruto, did you say married yet? As he stared at Mei with wide eyes. Naruto drew out the word, maybe, and said, no. Mei asked, do you want to get married? Naruto swallowed hard. Mei felt her face heat up as Naruto produced a ring. It's my mom's, I was going to wait until the war is over but I guess now is as good of a time as any, Mei said, shocking everyone else. I was planning on proposing, sometime in the future. Naruto started until he reached into his pocket. I've been holding onto this ever since I went through my parents' old crap. As Naruto dropped to one knee, opinions on what to think varied. There's no way this is real, Mei thought to herself while glancing at Naruto. With wide eyes, Tsunade thought, no fucking way. Jiraiya thought, his eyes almost bursting from his head, do it kid, do it. You could never land a woman as hot as her, don't let her slip through your fingers. Hiruzen thought, holy shit, this is the 3rd time this has happened in this office, as he considered the proposals made by Minato, him, and Naruto at the moment. Naruto grabbed Mei's hand and said, Mei Terumi, You have made me happier in the past 3 years than I had in my entire life. Granted, my life kinda sucked towards the beginning. Will you marry me? Mei looked at Naruto in shock and then spoke. Mei yelled, "Of course, you idiot," as she threw herself at Naruto and planted a full-body kiss on him. After placing the ring on Mei's finger, Naruto exclaimed, "Wow, that was easy," and she stood up. As she looked around the room, Mei exclaimed, "Oh my god, it's happening, it's really happening." She then turned to face Naruto, who was grinning foolishly. "Come here you," Mei said, grabbing his hand and guiding him out of the room. "Don't call us until tomorrow," Mei added as she pulled Naruto out of the room. "Enjoy yourselves, you two," Jiraiya said, laughing, until he felt a hand touch his shoulder. Jiraiya turned to see Tsunade grinning sinisterly, an unearthly aura surrounding her. A vein started to bulge on Tsunade's forehead. "We're not going to gloss over the fact that you just promised a child to a bunch of talking frogs," she said. "What do you have to say?" Jiraiya said, You're welcome," just as Tsunade began to crack her knuckles, saying, "Oh shit." Meanwhile, in AIM, Madara and Pain walking down a dimly lit hallway in a tunnel. Pain inquired of Madara, "How is it going?" And Madara answered. As they entered a large chamber, Madara said, 2,000 Auto Shinobi, 1,000 AIM Shinobi, and almost 20,000 white Zetsu ready. Below, a large sea of white Zetsu clones emerged from a tree's roots. As more Zetsu clones were produced, an unconscious Yamato was bound inside the tree and used as a battery. "Good," Pain replied. "With our loyal shinobi, the white Zetsus, the remaining Akatsuki members and the 3 captured Biju, we can still capture the remaining Jinchuriki. How is Sasuke doing? Has he learned the jutsu?" Pain inquired and Madara nodded. Madara stated, "It's a work in progress, but he has the power of the Sharingan. If anyone can learn it, it's him." Pain nodded in agreement and cast his gaze down at the Zetsu army that was gathering strength. "Very well," Pain replied. "It's important he learns how to do the Edo Tensei in the next 3 months. We must reinforce our forces with more powerful shinobi. And once we gather our forces and crush this pathetic coalition," Pain replied, "the world will witness the power of the Rinnegan and the world will know pain." Kiri. 1.5 months after the Kate Summit, accompanied by Karen, Kurama, Hiruzen, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Naruto. Along with roughly 2,000 other Konoha ninja, Naruto, Tsunade, Hiruzen, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Karen, and Kurama were strolling down a lengthy dirt road in northern Kiri. Konoha has been training and preparing their forces for the Akatsuki confrontation for the last 2 months. As the dawn of battle drew near, everyone strolled down the road talking and joking around, trying to keep their spirits up. Tsunade had spared no expense in training the shinobi who would be joining them, since this would be the greatest battle since the last great ninja war. Naruto said to no one in particular, "Whistle. Boy," as he and the others led the column behind a group of Kiri ninja to the rallying spot. "Is there a problem, Naruto?" Kakashi inquired, and Naruto gave a nod. "Just a little nervous," said Naruto. "It's strange. I fought several S-class ninja, a Biju, and nearly died half a dozen times, but I'm still nervous." "It's natural, son," Hiruzen said while lighting up his pipe. "This is my 3rd time at war. I should be sitting in a rocking chair telling my son bedtime stories. Yet here I am." The battle armor that Hiruzen was wearing had been repaired since the last time it was used during the invasion. Tsunade apologized to Hiruzen about the incident, but Hiruzen dismissed her words. Hiruzen remarked, "Don't be. Better me here than Sume. I frankly cannot wait until the battle commences," Kurama said with a broad grin. "I hope I run into that masked man again. What I wouldn't give to see his guts on the floor." Karen sighed as she gave him a look. Kurama leaned over to give Karen a cheek kiss. "Easy, tiger. Keep it under control, you'll get your chance soon enough," Karen said. Kurama leaned in and whispered, "I hope so, but I might need you to keep me occupied." Karen blushed and pushed him away. Karen uttered the word, "dumbass," while giving Kurama a little smile that missed. "Well, either way. No matter what happens, I know we are going to win," Jiraiya replied. "We have to, because God help me, I don't want to know the alternative." Speaking up, Naruto said, "Don't worry guys, we got this in the bag." After a few hours, Naruto and the others are at the main camp in Kiri. There were thousands of people and hundreds of tents gathered around the large encampment that had been set up among the trees, which Naruto and the Konoha force approached. Naruto looked around and remarked, "Damn, looks like the entire world is over here." He saw Suna, Kumo, and Ninja from Kiri talking to each other. He described it as cool, that some were sharpening blades and others were sparring. A recognizable voice called out, "Naruto." Naruto turned to see Itachi and Temari approaching, saying, "It's been a while." Naruto grinned and asked, "Itachi, how are you doing? Did you enjoy training in Suna with Tayuya and Fu?" Itachi nodded. "Yes, I did," Itachi replied, "and that's not all that happened." He put his arm around Temari, who was grinning now as well. "Me and Itachi are in a relationship now," Temari stated. "We talked about it and we made it official." "Congrats on the relationship, Lady Kazekage," Tsunade said as she stepped forward. "I hope you are getting along with Fu, Tayuya, and Hana." Temari gave this a nod. "We get along fine. Especially with Hana, we have a lot in common," Temari stated, although Fu is a little too eager from time to time. Temari pouted as Itachi said, "Temari, I told you. She kisses Tayuya and Hana since we are all together in the relationship." Temari remarked, "It's still a little strange kissing another girl." For a brief moment, Naruto, Kakashi, Jiraiya, and Hiruzen all appeared thoughtful as they imagined Temari, Hana, Tayuya, and Fu sharing a kiss. "That's pretty hot," they all thought. At that moment, Tsunade slapped Jiraiya and Hiruzen, and Karen slapped Naruto and Kakashi in the back of the head. Karen yelled, "Get your mind out of the gutters." Tsunade sternly said, "Focus you dumbasses," and they all gave each other a back rub. "All right," replied Naruto. "Hey, where's Mei? Have you seen her?" he inquired, to which Temari nodded. Temari pointed to the Kiri side of the camp, saying, "Yes, she's in her tent. Head over there. It's near the armory." Naruto nodded and left. Tsunade nodded as Temari said, "Lady Tsunade, I can lead you to the clearing where you and your shinobi can pitch their tents." Tsunade said, "Thank you, Temari. Lead the way." Tsunade and the others went to follow Temari as they moved to their side of the camp. Alongside Mei, while she was studying maps in her tent to determine where to position their troops, Mei was startled out of her reverie by the sound of her tent's flap opening. "I'm busy ow, come back in 20 minutes, Mei replied. Mei quickly turned to see a smiling Naruto, saying, "Sup babe," after he said, "Ah, but I missed you so much." "Naruto, you made it," Mei exclaimed, leaping to his aid. She then planted a kiss on Naruto's lips, causing him to grin even wider. "When did you get in?" Mei asked. Mei nodded as Naruto remarked, "About 15 minutes ago. I had a hard time finding your tent, this place is so big." "Well, we do have about 7,000 people here," Mei replied. "It's impressive to say the least. We have everyone from fresh Chunin to seasoned Anbu here." "Well, we're going to need them," Naruto replied. "Watasumi and the sharks are on standby. Once I perform the summoning jutsu, they will show up." Mei laughed as Naruto stated, "All they asked was that I summon them in water." Mei took Naruto by the hand and led him to her bed, saying, "Well then, I guess we should get you settled in." She then took out a trunk from under the bed and opened it, revealing it was empty, saying, "You can put all your stuff in here for safekeeping." "Ah crap, I forgot my toothbrush on the ship," Naruto uttered as he took out a scroll and opened it to reveal clothes, ninja tools, and other creature comforts. Mei laughed and went to get an extra toothbrush from a wash basin. Mei remarked, "I had a feeling you would." With Kisame, Raiga, Chojuro, and Renmara later that evening. After returning from a day of reconnaissance, Kisame, Raiga, Chojuro, and Renmara were huddled around a campfire enjoying dinner. Kisame suggested that they all spend their night slightly away from camp. As he stood up and approached the pig roasting over the fire with a carving knife, Kisame exclaimed, "Who wants another slice of pork?" "I'll take some," said Renmara, extending his plate. Kisame then sliced off a sizable portion of shoulder and placed it on Renmara's plate. "I have more for you," Naruto said as he approached with his sword slung over his shoulder. "Naruto!" cheered Renmara. "Hi," Raiga uttered. "Naruto, you succeeded," Chojuro remarked. "Hey brat, look at this. I killed this fresh pig about 3 hours ago," Kisame said, grabbing a plate and slicing off another piece of pork. Naruto sat down next to Renmara on a log and said, "Thank you," taking a bite out of the plate and remarking, "Damn, this is good." Naruto asked, "How's it going guys?" You've been doing good, and each person nodded. Raiga said, me and Kisame are good. Chojuro and Renmara are in deep shit, though. Naruto turned to face Renmara and sighed. Hanabi is a little pissed I'm here, said Renmara. I'm the only genin in the entire camp because not only am I Raiga's apprentice but also because I'm a possible candidate to be a 7 swordsman. If we can find another sword, replied Chojuro. Renmara only has Orochimaru's Kusanagi and he needs one of the actual 7 swords. I mean, you remember when he tried to use Kabutowari. Flashback. Konoha, 1 month ago as Renmara attempted to raise Kabutowari, he struggled and was watched closely by Naruto, Kisame, Raiga, Watasumi, Hanabi, and Chojuro. Renmara attempted to raise the sword with his right hand, but he was holding the hammer part of the weapon in his left hand. Come on buddy. You can do it, said Naruto. Keep your knees bent and don't forget to breath. Renmara, you can do it, Hanabi thought to himself. Kami above, Raiga remarked, pinching the bridge of his nose. You ought to have mentioned which sword you recovered in your letter that you sent to us. How the hell do you expect Renmara to pick up that fucking thing? Said Raiga. Hey, I was able to lift the executioner's blade at his age, said Naruto. You just got to believe in yourself. Raiga yelled, I believe okay. I believe you're a fucking idiot. You want to go? Naruto exclaimed, removing his sword and tossing it to the ground. Raiga yelled, let's fucking go, and Naruto tackled him. The two men rolled around on the ground, punching and swearing at each other. This is hilarious, ha 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 ha, Kisame exclaimed with a laugh. In an attempt to defuse the situation, Chojuro said, please don't fight, use your words. Sweat fell from Watasumi's brow at her fellow swordsman, wondering aloud, am I the only one who is mature here? Through gritted teeth, Renmara yelled, come on you stupid sword. As he pulled up, he felt a pop in his back and exclaimed, oh shit my back, my fucking back. Hanabi yelled. Renmara, as she rushed to investigate, what's wrong? Renmara started to cry and said, I think I slipped a disc. It hurts really bad. Watasumi hurried over and knelt down, saying, let's get him to Lady Tsunade. Hanabi nodded, and the two girls assisted him in getting up so they could take him to the hospital. Flashback concludes rubbing his back. Renmara remarked, that hurt like hell. If we find the last sword, hopefully I can use it. I don't want to carry around a really heavy sword again. Naruto said, don't worry, buddy. In the worst situation, I can use the Kabutowari while you use my executioner's blade. Renmara grinned in response. Thanks Naruto but I'm good, Renmara replied. I'd rather not take a sword from someone who isn't dead or retiring. Naruto remarked, fair enough, and then, so, guys, pulling out a scroll and opening it to reveal some beer and whiskey. Naruto said, let's get fucked up, and everyone grinned. Alongside Kurama, Karen, Fu, Yugito, Utakata, and B. It was Kurama who remarked, it's been so long, brothers and sisters, as he and Karen sat around a fire with the Jinchuriki from the allied villages. Saiken isn't exactly thrilled about working with you, Utakata said, more like not long enough. Kurama moaned at this. Kurama uttered, it's been more than 200 years, shouldn't we just move on? Utakata squinted. Utakata remarked, you burned down his forest. Hey now, no need to fight, said B. We are all here as friends. Let bygones be bygones. I agree, Fu responded, we are all united together to protect both ourselves and our villages. Let's try to get along. B gave Fu a fist bump and said, you said it, sister, laughing. I tell you what, Yugito may have Matabi, but you're the coolest cat here, B said. B and Fu chuckled as Yugito received a tick mark. Yugito uttered the word, hey, and Karen placed a hand on her shoulder. Ignore them, Karen replied, so, Yugito, what's it like having a demon cat inside you? Yugito commented, annoying, since Matabi is very promiscuous. What about that time we convinced those two tacky boys into a threesome? It was the best night of your. Matabi whispered to Yugito in his head, warning him not to say the kitten. Yugito put her hand on her ears and blushed slightly, saying, la 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 la. Shut it Matabi, even though it doesn't work. Karen remarked, I think I'm the only normal person here, to which Kurama laughed. Kurama smiled at her and put his arm around her, saying, and I love you for it. In a secret location with Madara, Zetsu, and Sasuke. Along with Madara and Zetsu, Sasuke was strolling down a lengthy hallway. For the previous 2 months, he had been strengthening his abilities and getting over his defeat by Itachi. With the aid of Madara and Orochimaru's notes, Sasuke is now more than certain that he can defeat Itachi. In order to help the Akatsuki, Sasuke even went so far as to learn a forbidden jutsu. Sasuke gestured to a massive set of doors, and when they got close, they opened, allowing Sasuke, Madara, and Zetsu to enter the room where Pain, Konan, and Sasori were waiting. Madara inquired, "Are the preparations done?" Pain nodded. "Yes, they are done." Pain replied, 1,000 AIM shinobi, 2,000 auto shinobi and 20,000 white Zetsus ready to move out. Excellent, Madara stated. Zetsu has reported that the remaining Jinchuriki and a large contingent of leaf, sand, mist and cloud shinobi are in northern Kiri. They're waiting for us, Madara stated. Those fools have no idea what we have planned for them. Pain responded, "No, they don't," and just as Madara was about to reply, he heard lightning strike from behind him. When Madara turned around, he saw Sasuke decapitate Zetsu and then perform hand signals for the fire style fireball jutsu, in which Sasuke threw a fireball at Zetsu's body, setting it on fire. "That's one down." Sasuke grinned and summoned his Sharingan. Madara yelled, "Sasuke, you traitor," just as he heard a noise behind him. When he turned around, he saw that 12 paper shuriken were approaching him. Madara let the shuriken phase through him by using his Kamui. After being struck in the chest by the final shuriken and launched into a wall, Madara hit the wall and discovered a black rod protruding from his chest. When Madara noticed Pain, Konan, Sasori, and Sasuke approaching him, he coughed up blood from behind his mask. "What is this?" Madara exclaimed. "The chakra rod in your body is disrupting your chakra network. You cannot escape like the cowards you are. This is our plan," Pain declared as he stood in front of Madara. "You have led us astray. Your plans end in failure and all you have done is not for the betterment of the world," Pain continued. "It was for your own selfish desires. Our desire is to end the world of the shinobi and bring peace." Before Pain pulled out another rod and stabbed Madara in the stomach, Madara snarled and turned to face Sasuke. "Why betray me, Sasuke?" Madara questioned. With a smug expression on his face, Sasuke closed and then opened his eyes once more to reveal the Mangekyo Sharingan. "I don't need you anymore," Sasuke uttered. Astonished, Madara inquired, "How did you activate it?" Sasuke turned off his Sharingan and started talking. "My fight with Itachi activated it," Sasuke stated. "All my years of training and hatred, and I couldn't even scratch him. The humiliation, the agonizing pain of my defeat. It was enough to activate the Mangekyo." Sasuke continued. "You told me of how Shisui Uchiha activated his by seeing his friend die. Looks like any kind of despair will work." Madara thought to himself, "This damn brat. All these years, and cursed. Now I just need your eye," said Sasuke. "I know I usually need two but beggars can't be choosers. I can still fight with one eye if I go blind in the other." Turning around, Sasuke started to leave. "I'll tell the surgeons to prep for surgery," he uttered. Konan questioned, "Don't you want to know who's behind the mask?" Sasuke scoffed. Sasuke merely replied, "Who cares?" before turning to go. "Excellent," Pain remarked, glancing over at Sasori. "Sasori, would you please?" "Thank you very much," Sasori said, drawing a blade from his arm and swinging it in Madara's direction. Obito point of view. When the blade approached Obito, he watched helplessly and in slow motion, thinking, "Is this it? All my years of planning and suffering. It meant nothing." Just as the blade was about to cut him, Obito had a last vision. Shin Nohara was grinning as she stood in front of him, holding out her hand, and Obito extended his own in an attempt to take it. With a tiny smile, Obito thought, "Rin, my love, I'm coming." Typical point of view. Madara's body went limp as Sasori's blade sliced through his neck, sending his head crashing to the ground with a wet plop. Madara's outstretched hand also fell to the side. After saying, "All done," Sasori picked up Madara's head and left Pain and Konan behind. "I'll take the head to Sasuke," Sasori said. Konan said, "We lost 2 more members," and Pain gave her a sidelong glance. "Come Konan, we're moving out in a week. They were never on our side, they only severed themselves," Pain said as he turned to leave. Konan nodded and followed him, leaving the mutilated body of Madara and the scorched body of Zetsu in their wake. 1 week later, in northern Kiri, with Hinata, Shino, and Neji. While they both used their Byakugan to scan the surroundings and the ocean in front of them, Shino was hiding with Neji and Hinata. "Anything yet, Hinata?" he asked, to which Hinata shook her head. Hinata said, "Not yet," glancing around her. "I haven't seen anything other than fish jumping out of the water and deer." Neji said, "Same here," glancing around and deactivating his Byakugan since he wasn't straining his eyes. "You know, I've been thinking. Maybe all this is for nothing," he added. "Maybe the fact that 4 great nations united in a coalition scared the Akatsuki." Neji continued. "After all, there is no way that they could win." Hinata uttered. "Neji. I mean 6 people against nearly 7,000 ninja." Neji responded, "Not to mention 8 cage-level ninja and 5 Jinchuriki. That alone would make anyone think twice." Shino said, "Neji. They would have to be suicidal in order to attack us." Neji continued, 6 against 7,000 isn't exactly." "Neji!" was exclaimed by Shino and Hinata simultaneously. Neji exclaimed, "What?" as they both gestured toward the ocean, where a veritable army of white Zetsu was emerging and making their way up the beach. "Wow. I have gravely miscalculated," Neji said as he activated his Byakugan and saw white Zetsu as far as his dojutsu could see. Neji and Hinata nodded, and Shino said, "We need to head back to warn the others." The 3 of them slipped away and ran back as quickly as they could. After an hour, Jiraiya, Naruto, Mei, Tsunade, and Kiri camp were present. When Naruto asked, "So let me ask this," everyone turned to face him. If a deaf and dumb guy loses his arms and uses sign language, is to considered an accent or a speech impediment? The others in the canteen, eating breakfast and conversing about random subjects, all turned to listen to Naruto. "I say a speech impediment," Jiraiya replied. "I mean if you chip a tooth you're not going to start speaking in a southern accent." "I think the accent part most likely applies to how they sign," Tsunade replied. "I mean like, what if instead of pointing a finger at a 90-degree angle it's at 70 degrees? "That kind of makes sense," Mei replied. "I mean I have a problem with my horse hand sign since my left finger is slightly crooked from when I broke it when I was." Mei started until she stopped. Mei said, "Hey, is that Shino and his scout team?" and everyone turned to face her. As he and his group charged up, Shino remarked, "Lady Tsunade, we spotted a large enemy force on the northern peninsula. We saw thousands of them." Everyone widened their eyes until Tsunade stood up and said, "Naruto, go get the rakeage." Naruto nodded. "I got it," Naruto exclaimed, sprinting to his sword and snatching it up before taking off. Tsunade said, "Mei, go wake up the swordsman," and Mei nodded. Mei stood up to warn Kisame and the others, saying, "Very well." Jiraiya. "Alert the camp, everyone in full battle gear in 1 hour," instructed Tsunade. "Take a copy of that." Jiraiya hurried away. "You 3 are with me. We are going to gather up our troops," Tsunade said, glancing at Shino, Hinata, and Neji. Shino said, "Yes, Lady Tsunade," and he, Hinata, and Neji all trailed behind Tsunade. After an hour situated on an elevated platform, Tsunade, Mei, Tamari, Hiruzen, and Jiraiya observed the assembled group of shinobi. Tsunade approached and started speaking after noticing everyone present. All members of the Shinobi Coalition, a reconnaissance team, discovered the Akatsuki's forces on the northern peninsula just 1 hour ago. Based on their calculations, there are almost 20,000 non-human soldiers along with smaller groups of AIM and Auto Shinobi. "Everyone, this is it. We've been ready for this. We will win this war at all costs and through all the suffering. Not for us, but for the future of the world, our children, and ourselves. Take up arms and get ready to head north, where we will confront and eliminate our adversaries." The shinobi as a whole cheered, "Let's go," as Tsunade concluded her speech. After a short while, while Konan and her 4,000 white Zetsus attempted to circumnavigate the northern flank, Konan was in the western portion of the island. She noticed the enemy as she walked into a sizable clearing and turned to face him. Mei, Tamari, Utakata, and the combined 2,500 strong forces of Kiri and Suna stood side by side, watching the oncoming Akatsuki forces. As Konan gave the order for her forces to stop, she thought, "Open battle. I was hoping to avoid this." Konan then made paper wings and flew forward, reaching the center of the field. Mei said, "Tamari, back me up." Tamari nodded, and the two of them moved toward the field in the middle, which was only a short distance from Conan. Mei and Tamari both acknowledged Conan's courteous bow and said, "Lady Mizukage, Lady Kazekage. It's an honor." Conan continued, "I do not wish to fight you. Please lay down your arms and surrender your Jinchuriki." To Conan's dismay, Mei apologized and said, "Sorry, but no, we will take your surrender and whatever the hell those things are." "I cannot allow such a thing," Conan stated. "Looks like we are at an impasse." Tamari sadly said, "Seems so, say, if I may ask," and Conan and Mei both turned to face her. "If we weren't who we were and not in this situation, could we have been friends?" asked Tamari. With a small smile, Conan said, "I hope so," before taking off and returning to her troops. "I wish the world worked like that," Conan said. "It's a shame we have to do this," Mei remarked as she and Tamari started to return to their troops. Tamari remarked, "You know that better than anyone. War is horrible." "Sadly, yes," Mei replied, alongside Hiruzen. Alone atop a massive tree, Hiruzen saw a vast force of AIM ninja approaching him from across a grassy field. By his count, there were roughly 1,000 of them. A weary sigh was released by Hiruzen as they walked past him as they entered the forest. As he bit his thumb and performed hand gestures known as summoning jutsu, Hiruzen exclaimed, "Sigh. I'm too old for this shit." He then slammed his hand onto the tree he was on. The AIM ninja were startled when hundreds of puffs of smoke suddenly burst from the surrounding forest. When they looked up, they were astounded by what they saw. 1,000 samurai. Armored monkeys bearing clubs, spears, katanas, bows, and other weapons materialized, their screams echoing through the forest. Enma said, "Are you ready, Hiruzen?" before changing into his staff form and being lifted by Hiruzen. "Yes, my old friend," Hiruzen exclaimed. "Monkeys. Attack!" The battle of the forest broke out suddenly as the army of monkeys leapt down upon their startled adversaries. Together with Asuma, Kurenai, Guy, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi. Inside the central swamp, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Guy, Kurenai, Asuma, and 1,500 Konoha ninja awaited. Tsunade struck Asuma in the neck and cleaned the blood off her pants. Tsunade uttered, "Damn mosquitoes," and Hinata followed suit shortly after. "Lady Tsunade," hinted Hinata, gesturing ahead, "they're coming now. Look like 6,000 or so." The white Zetsu started to move across the marsh. "And that's not all," Hinata continued. "I see someone with them, but they seem off." "Aw shit," Jiraiya uttered as he strained to see across the swamp and recognized the person she was referring to. "Lord Jiraiya, what is it?" inquired Kurenai. "You all recall how the Akatsuki caught the Jinchuriki with the 4 and 5 tails?" Jiraiya asked, and Kakashi gave a nod. "Indeed," Asuma replied. Jiraiya shocked everyone by stating, "Looks like they just brought out number 5. Kakashi then raised his forehead protector, pulled out his Sharingan, and looked wide-eyed. The Edo Tensei of Han, the 5 tails Jinchuriki, was standing next to the army of white Zetsu. "Well, isn't this just lovely?" Kakashi remarked. Jiraiya started to demonstrate hand gestures for summoning jutsu, saying, "Oh well, time to get to business." He then slammed his hand onto the ground, causing hundreds of puffs of smoke to appear. The size of a small house to a small dog appeared among 1,000 toads wearing armor and carrying weapons. Jiraiya said, "Kakashi, Guy, help me out with the Edo Tensei," and both men nodded, acknowledging that this would be challenging. Together with Fu, Itachi, Kurama, Karen, Tayuya, and Hana. When they spotted the enemy approaching, Itachi, Hana, and roughly 500 other Konoha ninja gathered around an abandoned plantation. Itachi used his Sharingan to track the enemy. Itachi said, "Tayuya, you seeing this?" and Tayuya nodded. "Yeah, Auto Ninja and what looks like Orochimaru's sloppy seconds." Tayuya responded, "They kept the fucking test subjects alive, motherfuckers." Hana questioned, "Is there no honor left for the dead?" Itachi sighed at this. "Hey Itachi," Karen said, speaking up. "I sense your brother." "Everyone move up," Itachi said. What did I expect to happen? The group of people broke cover and entered a sizable abandoned field. Itachi yelled, "Sasuke! Get out here!" to the opposing force. All of them halted, and only one person emerged. With a self-assured smirk on his face, Sasuke walked up and said, "Itachi, I've been looking for you. Now we can finish what you started. Itachi drew a long breath before continuing. I'm not here to fight you, Sasuke, Itachi replied. I'm here to protect the ninja world, and if that means killing you, well, I don't think I can. Itachi, you're my little brother. I can't kill you, Sasuke scowled. Whatever, are you just going to flee? Sasuke yelled at him. Itachi turned to face his side and said, no, I had to come up with an alternative plan. Itachi said, Kurama, make it quick for him. He's my little brother, to which Kurama replied with a laugh. Kurama stepped forward and said, hey Uchiha, I hope you made your peace with God, because you are about to meet him. I can make it quick, but it won't be painless. Sasuke laughed at this and continued. Hearing this, Kurama laughed. Shut up, I don't even know who you are, an enraged Sasuke yelled. You cannot measure to the power I possess. Of course I can't measure to you, Kurama remarked as he focused his chakra on, I am. Beyond you. A wave of rage and red chakra swept through the area, making everyone cower in fear except for those who were aware of Kurama's transformation. Where'd they bravado go, Uchiha? Are you rethinking your words? Kurama glared at Sasuke, who was terrified, as he activated his four-tailed chakra cloak. Sasuke broke out of his reverie and said just one word. Sasuke said, Susanoo, activating his Sharingan to reveal that one of his Sharingans was an EMS and the other a standard Mangekyo Sharingan. Chakra started to form around Sasuke, eventually taking the form of a skeletal body with the words, come at me freak. I'll kill you before I kill Itachi. Let's see, Kurama uttered, with Yugito, B, and A. Standing on the brink of a ravine, A, B, and Yugito observed the 2,500 Kumo shinobi on the opposite side. A was clenching his fists and staring at the tree line. A yelled, come at me you bastards. Timing Master Raikage, Yugito uttered. Hey, dude, go check it out, B gestured across. Hot damn, I think there's 6,000 of those uglies, A exclaimed as he watched the white Zetsus leave the forest. A feeling of impending danger then overcame Yugito and B. B, did you feel that? Yugito asked, and he nodded. Then, pulling out a telescope, Yugito said, Lord Raikage, look, 2 o'clock. A picked up the telescope and pointed it in the direction Yugito had indicated. A saw what she was aiming at. The man with red hair, dressed in Iwa clothes and armor, was an Edo Tensei. Shit, I recognize him, exclaimed, returning the telescope. Who's it, bro? Inquired B. It said, causing B and Yugito to widen their eyes. Roshi. The Four Tails Jinchuriki. I met him during the last Great Ninja War. Nice guy, made some good coffee. It said, switching on his lightning chakra mode. B. Yugito. Handle him, will you? I'll handle the grunts. Okay. Kumo, let's get to work. A exclaimed, to the delight of all those who leapt across the ravine to confront the enemy. Alongside Sasori with his 4,000 strong white Zetsu force, Sasori was making his way around the island's western waters, hoping to gain the eastern flank and support the opposing forces. He stopped as he moved along the water's edge, looking toward the shoreline with his group of white Zetsus. Wow, what a sight this is, remarked Sasori. Naruto, Kisame, Raiga, Chojuro, and Renmara were standing on the shore, their swords drawn. Kisame, nice to see you again, Kisame said. Sasori laughed at Kisame's comment, whatever you say, puppet boy, how about you turn your wooden ass around and I'll forget I saw you. Naruto moved forward as Sasori said, now why would I do that? I would give anything to have you as one of my puppets. Naruto yelled, hey, I came here to fight, not talk, pointing his sword in his direction. Now how about we get started? Sasori laughed. Sasori pulled out a scroll and said, and I thought I was impatient. How about I give you all a blast from your past? When he opened the scroll, an Edo Tensei was visible. Shit! Groans from Chojuro, Raiga, and Kisame. Raiga asked, what's wrong? And then she spoke. Naruto turned to face Mangetsu, who was identified by Raiga as one of the 7 swordsmen and Suigetsu's brother. Raiga nodded and said, aw fuck, another one. Just my luck. Well, at least he doesn't have a sword. Naruto asked, what? Waterboy had a brother. Just as he was saying that, Sasori took out another scroll, opened it, and Mangetsu instinctively grabbed a long, bladed sword with a scroll on the back that reached the edge and revealed hundreds of explosive notes. Mangetsu smirked and said, you were saying. God damn it, Naruto yelled, same shit every day. He then proceeded to cut hand signs by running his thumb along the edge of his sword. Urging jutsu, Naruto bellowed while forcefully striking the water beneath his feet with his hand. 1,000 sharks, ranging in size from 6-inch dwarf lantern sharks to 20-foot great white sharks, were called upon, and splashes started to emerge from the water. Watasumi stood holding her sword above the water. Watasumi said, "Hey Naruto. Are we late?" To which Naruto grinned and shook his head. "Nope, right on time," Naruto uttered as he started to release his chakra. His sword glowed red as he was encased in his red chakra armor. "Okay then," he said as he and the other swordsmen started to cross the water. With excitement, Naruto said, "Let's get busy." Alongside the shark warriors, Kisame, Watasumi, Raiga, Renmara, and Chojuro is Naruto. Staring down Sasori's army of white Zetsu clones and the resurrected Mangetsu brandishing one of the fabled swords of Kiri was Naruto, the 7 swordsmen, and their shark army. Naruto said, "Hey Kisame, what sword is that?" And Kisame answered. "That's the Shibuki sword," said Kisame. "It's a sword that uses explosions to attack. And kicker is that there is no reloading it, the exploding tags reform automatically." Gazing at his Kyuubi chakra armor, Naruto exclaimed, "So explosions huh? I think my armor should hold out." "I think it would," said Raiga, "so Naruto will take on Mangetsu. Kisame, me and Chojuro should handle Sasori since he's the biggest threat here." "Good thought," Chojuro remarked. Watasumi gripped her sword and remarked, "And that leaves the army to me and the other sharks. Should be fun." "All right, then," Naruto said, clutching his glowing red sword. "Charge," he yelled, and suddenly the sharks, the 7 swordsmen, and Naruto raced across the water to confront Sasori's army. When Sasori saw this, he grinned and removed his cloak to reveal his puppet body. Thinking, "I guess I shouldn't hold back," Sasori took out a scroll and opened it. The scroll burst into smoke, and Sasori was in control of over 100 puppets in the air above him. With a cry of, "Advance!" Sasori launched his army in a charge toward Naruto and the others. Kisame spoke up as Naruto and his group carried on charging, unfazed by this. Kisame yelled, "Naruto, Raiga, Chojuro. Attack Plan C," and all 3 of them nodded. Then, all 4 of them started making hand signals simultaneously until they all stopped. "Water style. Water shark bomb jutsu," yelled Naruto and Kisame, causing 2 enormous water sharks to emerge from the water and leap skyward. "Water style. Water dragon jutsu," was yelled simultaneously by Raiga and Chojuro, causing 2 water dragons to emerge from the water and soar into the air. The army of white Zetsus was suddenly attacked by both water sharks and water dragons moving at maximum speed. All 4 of the jutsus struck the mass formation, eliminating almost 100 of the Zetsus before the battle even began, giving Naruto and his allies enough time to close the gap and engage in combat. Mangetsu raised his sword to thwart Naruto's attack as soon as he noticed him and prepared his own. Naruto was blasted back several feet and skidded across the water upon making contact with Mangetsu's sword, but he was unharmed. As soon as Naruto realized how powerful the explosion was, he made the hand gesture, Water Clone Jutsu, and produced 10 water clones before making the hand sign, Shadow Clone Jutsu. 10 more shadow clones were made by Naruto before he fled the battle. Mangetsu took a stance upon seeing roughly 20 Narutos charging towards him while donning their chakra armor. The first clone to arrive at him swung its sword at him, but he returned the favor by swinging back faster and striking the first clone. When the sword struck the clone, an explosion destroyed it. A second clone raised his sword in defense as Mangetsu turned around and swung his sword at it once more. The first clone vanished into smoke, revealing itself to be a shadow clone. A moment before Mangetsu's sword was about to strike the clone, it ducked and dropped it, then proceeded to signify water style. Water bullets with his hands. Mangetsu was knocked back when the clone shot a barrage of water bullets at him, striking him in the chest. As the clone dissolved into the water, Mangetsu realized what Naruto was doing. Regaining his composure, Mangetsu said, "He's using the water clones for jutsu, which means his shadow clones are for close-range combat." He then started to use hand signs. Mangetsu yelled, "Water style, water vortex," and a vortex of water materialized, heading straight for Naruto and his clones. Upon noticing this, Naruto made the hand sign, water style, water wall, and built a water wall to shield himself and his clones from the approaching water vortex. When the vortex struck the wall, the two jutsus neutralized one another. Mangetsu went on the attack as the water rose, swinging his sword in unison with a group of clones. He dispatched 5 of them with a perfectly timed explosion, and then more of them charged at him. Before flipping backwards and landing in the middle of the other clones, Mangetsu dispelled another clone that was attacking him from behind by kicking him in the head. Mangetsu stopped when he looked around and whirled around, swinging his sword as several explosions burst forth, destroying the remaining clones. Not time for the... He started, then stopped. Naruto appeared to simply disappear, leaving no trace behind. Where the hell did he? Naruto suddenly materialized beneath Mangetsu, brandishing a Rasengan, but this one was unique since it seemed to have water encircling it. 3 water streams branched off like blades on the side and converged on top like a spear point while rotating at an amazing speed. Mangetsu avoided harm even though he leapt out of the way at the last second. Naruto's Rasengan sliced through Mangetsu's left arm. Naruto grinned as Mangetsu leapt back a few feet. "How do you like that fuck face?" said Naruto. "You just saw my new and never before used water Rasengan. Name still pending on something cooler." Naruto grinned at this, having witnessed firsthand in real combat the application of his new skill. He and Jiraiya had finally perfected an elemental Rasengan after 3 years of training and dedication. "It'll take a lot more than that to beat me," Mangetsu scowled as his left arm straightened, to which Naruto scoffed. Naruto returned to his fighting stance and pleaded, "Please, I killed your brother. You're no different. Bring it on." Alongside Hiruzen, the shocked AIM ninja below were attacked by Hiruzen and his army of monkeys, and the sound of the monkeys' cries reverberated throughout the forest. An AIM ninja pointed at Hiruzen and his army and yelled, "Above us." Hiruzen started to make hand gestures and took a deep breath before firing a powerful stream of fire in the direction of the enemy below. About a dozen ninjas were struck by the fire jutsu that struck the group of AIM ninja below. They then started to scream and dance in an effort to put out the fire. As soon as Hiruzen and his monkeys touched down, the entire area quickly descended into a massive battle. Hiruzen yelled, "Enma!" Enma called out, "Coming," as he changed into a staff form, and Hiruzen grabbed him. Then, Hiruzen turned and swung his staff in the direction of an AIM ninja, striking him in the head and shattering his skull. The AIM ninja were being fought by the monkey warriors all around Hiruzen, who witnessed a monkey wielding a katana decapitate an AIM ninja before he could even seize a kunai. The ninja turned and saw a large monkey swinging a kanabo club at another ninja, striking him like a baseball into a tree. The monkey turned to find another opponent, and the ninja struck the tree, splattering like a watermelon. A smaller monkey, no larger than a wine bottle, was acrobatically jumping to 3 different ninjas while sprinting across the ground with a tanto in his small hands. The monkey landed and lunged forward, slashing the throat of the first, then jumping to the second and repeating the action with the third. A shout of "Senbon shower" startled Hiruzen out of his reverie. Turning around, he saw an umbrella. Wielding AIM ninja. The umbrella shot hundreds of senbon in the direction of Hiruzen and his allies as soon as the ninja threw it into the air and watched it spin around. As he passed by hand signals that read, "Earth style, Earth dome," Hiruzen yelled, "Take cover." In order to defend himself and a few nearby monkeys, Hiruzen built an Earth dome. Nevertheless, Hiruzen turned and saw that roughly 12 monkeys had been hit by multiple poisoned senbons, so they were not so fortunate. While one lay on the ground clutching its neck in an attempt to stop the bleeding from its severed artery, the other was killed by a well-placed shot to the head. Hiruzen turned to face the monkeys by his side after noticing that about 4 more had been injured. "Help them," Hiruzen commanded, and 2 monkeys hurried over to tend to their injured friends. Hiruzen then dashed from behind the earthen dome and headed in the direction of the umbrella user. Upon noticing this, the umbrella user grabbed a second umbrella and unsheathed a hidden sword before charging Hiruzen. He swung his sword at Hiruzen, who blocked it. The 2 men engaged in combat as Hiruzen repeatedly struck the man while he dodged and blocked. The man blocked Hiruzen's overhead strike with his sword, but this was a mistake on his part. Hiruzen yelled, "Now Enma!" The Enma transformed back into a monkey and seized the man by the head. Enma transformed back into his staff form as he swiftly spun the man's head 180 degrees, breaking his neck. the man collapsed to the ground, lifeless. "Well done, Enma," Hiruzen exclaimed as he surveyed his surroundings. He saw that both blades and jutsu were killing both monkeys and ninja nearby. His aging ears rang with the sounds of the injured and dying, and visions of the First Shinobi World War flashed before his eyes. Enma yelled, "Hiruzen," grabbing his attention and telling him to focus on the battle, my friend. Hiruzen nodded and dashed back into the fight. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Hiruzen gestured to Enma, "Thank you." He then conjured up 4 shadow clones, all of whom followed him into the engulfing carnage. Returning to Naruto's battleground, Watasumi was searching for a target while swimming rapidly beneath the surface of the water. As soon as she spotted a chance, she sprang to the surface. Emerging from the water, Watasumi hurled her Nuabari sword in the direction of a Zetsu clone. Watasumi pulled the thread and dragged the Zetsus into the water below as the sword pierced through the clone and the 3 clones that followed. Then, she swam back towards the clones, slicing them in half before retreating to repeat the attack. Above her, wielding his sword to combat multiple Zetsus, Renmara sidestepped a clone's blow and severed the arm with it before raising it again and chopping off its head. After taking a kick to the back from another clone, Renmara got up and spun around. The clone then charged Renmara, who sidestepped the blow and took a punch. The clone was stabbed in the chest by Renmara, who then kicked it away as it fell and submerged in the water. Before a Zetsu clone could launch its attack, a shark leapt out of the water, chomping down on it before dragging it under. 2 clones noticed this and prepared to move, but a second shark appeared in front of them. With its 2 bladed fins severing the Zetsu clones in half, the shark dove back into the water, and Watasumi leapt out to land beside Renmara, holding her sword firmly. Watasumi asked, "Are you okay, Renmara?" And he nodded. Renmara looked around and said, "Yeah, just a little nervous. This is my first real battle." Renmara nodded and Watasumi said, "Just stay next to me and you'll be fine." "Okay, let's go," Watasumi said as she and Renmara charged into battle together. Kisame, Raiga, and Chojuro were fighting Sasori and his army of puppets at the same time. Sasori was controlling his puppets with a chakra string, sending them down toward Kisame, who was running towards him. As he prepared his attack, Kisame noticed 3 puppets approaching and grabbed Samahata. The first puppets fired a volley of Senbon towards Kisame, who dodged and closed the distance. Kisame hurled her Samahata towards the puppet, causing it to shatter and scatter into the water. When the second puppet saw Kisame approaching, it raised 2 blades and started to spin. Kisame saw the puppet approaching and waited until it was close before front. Flipping over it, Kisame broke the puppet with a sword swing that he made in midair. Kisame touched down and turned to face the final puppet. The puppet raised its arms, aimed a stream of fire at Kisame, and produced 2 nozzles. When Kisame saw this, he performed the hand signals, water style, water wall, in order to create a wall of water to ward off the fire that was approaching him. Kisame then performed the hand signs, water style, water spouts. Kisame made 2 water spouts and threw them in the direction of the puppet. The water spouts struck the puppet and broke it, letting the flammable liquid seep into the water. Raiga was battling Sasori while he moved constantly. Just as a puppet was ready to attack from the side, Raiga leapt to his feet and started to spin. Raiga sliced the puppet apart with his Kiba blades before landing and crossing his swords. Dark clouds were forming above, lightning style, grand lightning funeral, and Raiga started to concentrate his chakra as they started to fall alighting on Sasori and the puppets steadily. Sasori was now faced with a triple task: using his puppets to attack, shielding them from the lighting, and avoiding getting hit himself. Raiga managed to hit 3 puppets with the lighting, but most of the puppets were still in the air, shielded from his blow. As the puppets closed in on him, Chojuro used his Haramekure to sever them. He was fully utilizing the blade's capabilities and channeling his chakra through it. When some puppets approached, Chojuro aimed his sword at them. He then used the chakra to extend the blade, strike one of the puppets, and then draw it back as the puppet fell into the water. Bloody Mist Sword Art, Bone Mutilation, saw Chojuro leap backward, drive his chakra into his sword, and inhale. He then unleashed a powerful burst of light blue chakra needles towards Sasori, the approaching jutsu. In an attempt to shield him, Sasori placed a number of puppets in front of him. When the chakra needles struck the puppets, Sasori lost control of them and they became disabled. The puppets sank after falling into the water. We need to maintain our pressure since we've already removed 20 puppets, Chojuro remarked, and Kisame nodded. Kisame yelled, "Your time is coming, puppets boy," while destroying another puppet with Samahata. As of right now, Naruto and Mangetsu's sword fighting skills were about equal, and their fight had reached a standstill. Mangetsu dodged under the blade as it passed over his head as Naruto slashed at him. Mangetsu attempted to blow Naruto's legs off by ducking and swinging his sword at him, but Naruto dodged the blow and took the chance to kick Mangetsu in the face, sending him skipping across the water. A Zetsu clone approached Naruto after he landed, and just as he was ready to kill it, a shark emerged from the water. Naruto recognized Yamamoto when he saw the steel teeth and armor. As he approached the Zetsu clone, Yamamoto exclaimed, "I got him, boy." He then bit into the clone and pulled it back down into the abyss. Naruto grinned and said, "Thanks buddy," but then he had an epiphany and realized, "Wait, I know how to win now." Naruto then cancelled his chakra armor, confusing Mangetsu. Mangetsu thought, "Why is he doing that? He'll be completely defenseless if I hit him." Naruto responded with a hand gesture, and a dome of water appeared around him. After a short while, the dome collapsed, revealing Naruto in his shark sage form. His eyes were entirely black, his whisker marks transformed into gills, and his blonde hair had gray undertones. After cancelling his walk on water jutsu and falling in, Naruto said, "Now then, let's take this party elsewhere." He then used water chakra to propel himself towards Mangetsu while making the hand signals for water style whirlpool. Mangetsu was submerged beneath a whirlpool that was forming beneath him, and he was pulled down into the water along with any nearby Zetsu clones. Around him, the underwater Zetsu clones engaged in combat with the sharks, taking out multiple of them. As Mangetsu was about to swing to the surface, Naruto gave him a foot to the face. He then kicked him hard, sending him deeper into the water. Thinking, "You're not going anywhere, you bastard. I'm going to give you an underwater burial," Naruto started to swim in Mangetsu's direction once more in an attempt to kill him. Alongside Hiruzen, 3 foes were arranged in a row when Hiruzen swung his staff at them. The 3 were struck simultaneously and knocked away. Hiruzen was getting old, even though he was an S-class ninja and a former Hokage, and his chakra and stamina had been diminishing. Hearing footsteps behind him, Hiruzen spun around to see a blade approaching his face. He moved his head, causing the blade to graze his neck, avoiding the arteries but still taking blood. Hiruzen raised his staff, struck his assailant in the elbow, breaking the limb and causing him to drop the kunai. Hiruzen then grabbed the kunai mid-air and stabbed the man through the skull, instantly killing him. "I'm too old for this shit," Hiruzen thought to himself as the man collapsed to the ground lifeless. Just as he was ready to return to the fight, he heard shouts. "Turn around, head to the lines, run, fall back, retreat." Hiruzen saw the last of the AIM ninja fleeing the battlefield. Hiruzen noticed that only roughly 100 of the monkeys were left out of the 1,000. The monkeys were ready to charge, but Hiruzen held up his hand. As soon as Hiruzen commanded, "Stop," the forest went silent. "They are retreating. We won," he exclaimed. A few seconds later, the monkeys' yells and cheers filled the forest. As the celebration started to wind down, Hiruzen felt the mood and started hollering like a monkey as well. Enma then transformed back into his monkey form, and Hiruzen grinned at him. Enma said, "What now?" and Hiruzen answered. Hiruzen found a log to sit on and said, "Tend to the wounded and collect the dead and get me a medic for my neck." Enma nodded and fled. Shortly after, a young monkey carrying a medical kit approached and started examining Hiruzen's neck. As it started to clean the wound with herbs and medicine, the monkey said, "Flesh wound, need stitches." Grabbing a needle and thread, the monkey started to sew up Hiruzen. As the needle's pain intensified, Hiruzen exclaimed, "Aw shit, be careful, it's tender." "I apologize, sir," the monkey said as it carried on tending to Hiruzen. Nearby, other monkeys gathered the corpses and assisted the injured. A few of the monkeys were tending to the injured enemy soldiers and putting an end to their agony by executing a coup de grace. As he was being sutured, Hiruzen prayed, "Kami, please, let this be my last war." Returning with Naruto as Mangetsu turned to face the approaching shark, its mouth agape, he realized that he was still searching underwater for Naruto. The shark was blown to pieces and the water turned red as Mangetsu turned and swung his sword towards it, causing an explosion. When Naruto saw this, he swam over to Mangetsu and prepared his sword for battle. Mangetsu tried to block but Naruto struck first. Mangetsu cursed as he was able to get his sword close enough to cause an explosion, but he was unable to move as quickly as Naruto and was struck across the abdomen by him. After being struck by the explosion and thrown back across the water, Naruto coughed up blood as a result of some minor internal injuries caused by the shockwave. Naruto was thinking, damn it, how can I beat this guy, when he suddenly noticed a black shadow appear to his right. As he swam past Naruto, Nagano asked, "Do you need help, youngster?" Naruto nodded and grinned in response. Naruto addressed Nagano, saying, "Hey, old-timer. Yeah, that would be great." Nagano said, "Okay, Sonny," as he directed his chakra. Before everything went dark, Mangetsu took a moment to focus on Naruto and the black shark. He scanned the area, hoping to spot either of them. Abruptly, Nagano attacked Mangetsu from behind. Mangetsu felt his leg reforming and was about to move when Nagano bit off his right leg to keep him immobile. "One limb down," he said before swimming back into the darkness. Emerging from the shadows, Naruto cut off Mangetsu's right arm with his sword. In his panic, the sword he was holding fell into the depths of the shadows. Mangetsu saw a flash of light appear in front of him. After using one-handed signals, Mangetsu shot a stream of water in the direction of the glimmer. His moment of relief was short-lived, though, as he soon discovered that the glimmer was actually one of Naruto's forehead guards. With his sword at the ready, Naruto emerged from behind Mangetsu and swung both his sword and Mangetsu's head before the latter could turn around. The seal inside of Mangetsu was broken by Naruto's sword, causing him to turn to dust beneath the water in front of Naruto. The darkness vanished and the light reappeared as Mangetsu transformed back into the corpse of the sacrifice that had been used to return him to the realm of the living. Grinning, Naruto then thanked Nagano. Naruto said, "Thanks, old-timer," and Nagano gave him a nod. Nagano swam off, saying, "I'm old, but this old shark still has a little fight left in him." Naruto laughed and started swimming towards the ocean floor, thinking to himself, "It's time to find that sword now." On the surface, Kisame, Raiga, and Shojiro continued to battle Sasori and his remaining puppets. They had already destroyed half of the puppets and were making progress. "Gra!" Kisame bellowed as he unleashed the Samahata on Sasori, who ducked by gliding across the water with his wings. Kisame ducked out of the way as Sasori launched another volley of Senbon attacks at him while pointing one of his arms at him. Kisame was blinded by the two flash bombs that Sasori threw at her, yelling, "Ga! My eyes," because she was too slow to react. Kisame was attempting to open his eyes when Sasori sent some of his puppets in his direction. When Raiga saw this, she created a ball of lightning and threw it at the puppets that were approaching Kisame. The puppets were destroyed by the impact of the lightning ball. After getting better, Kisame glared at Sasori and said, "Thanks, Raiga. You're going to pay for that." Kisame continued, going through hand signals. Water style. Water shark bomb jutsu. Kisame threw a water shark at Sasori, who flew out of the way as it crashed down by using his wing. When a projectile suddenly started to approach while Sasori was in the air, he rolled to see that it was a long, thin object with a thread attached. In an effort to kill Sasori, Watasumi threw her Nuabari at him, but Sasori managed to evade the blow and veered in Watasumi's direction instead. Sasori raised both of his arms in her direction and used his flamethrowers to shoot two streams of fire at her. Sasori followed Watasumi as she started to sprint across the water to escape the flames. While she ran, she caught a glimpse of Renmara in her peripheral vision. When Renmara noticed Sasori pursuing Watasumi, he charged at him while brandishing his Kusanagi blade. Renmara leapt and ran in Sasori's direction. After extinguishing his flame, Sasori pivoted and kicked Renmara into the water. When Renmara returned to the surface after briefly submerging himself in the water, he noticed bubbles a short distance away. Emerging from the water, Naruto stood upright. He held his executioner's blade in one hand and Mangetsu's Shibuki sword in the other. When Naruto threw the Shibuki sword at Renmara, he said, "Hey Renmara. Catch." Renmara responded, "Congrats, you got a sword now. Now let's use it to kill that prick," as he raised his Kusanagi sword and caught the Shibuki sword at the same time. After saying, "Let's go," Renmara nodded and grinned. Naruto and Renmara then ran in the direction of Sasori, who was sending his puppets after them. When Sasori saw that Mangetsu had been destroyed, he cursed and made a hand gesture. Naruto also saw Sasori's puppets approaching. Naruto yelled, "Shadow Clone Jutsu," and as 50 clones materialized, a thick cloud of smoke enveloped the scene. Naruto and Renmara then charged forward, with Naruto instructing Renmara to charge his chakra into the blade and swing it, then release it once it was in position. With a nod, Renmara followed Naruto and his clones as they charged towards Sasori, whereupon Sasori's puppets were slashed and destroyed while Renmara just avoided the blows. Sasori used his chakra strings to control the puppets so that they would battle Naruto's clones. As a result, the clones were rapidly destroyed. 3 of Naruto's clones were drawing nearer to Sasori when he swung his sword, eliminating puppets. With multiple blades drawn, Sasori attacked the clones directly. He first slashed one clone to destroy it, then he turned to another and stabbed it to death. The last clone turned to face Sasori and swung its sword at him. Sasori lifted his arm, thinking that the strengthened joints would withstand the blow. But the clone burst into smoke, revealing that it was none other than Renmara, wielding a henge. When Renmara's blade struck Sasori's arm, he yelled, "Here goes nothing." A loud explosion shook the area as Renmara was flung back into the water, hitting it and skipping across. Raiga yelled, "Renmara," as he saw him skidding back. "Are you okay?" he asked. Looking at Raiga, Renmara moaned. "What?" exclaimed Renmara. "You got to speak up. I can't hear you." Raiga started to perspire, but he had to duck just in time to avoid a puppet that nearly fell on top of him. Sasori's puppets all started to tumble from the sky and land in the water. Reaching down, Kisame grabbed half of Sasori's head and exclaimed, "Hot damn! You blew him up. Good job, kid." While staring at Kisame, Renmara was only able to hear the question, "What?" that Renmara had asked. Kisame looked at Naruto and said, "Oh no, he's deaf." Well, he did set off an explosion about 2 feet away. Now that Kiri's swords are all back, Kisame grinned. "And now we have Renmara as a new wielder," Naruto remarked, surveying the area. The sharks were still engaged in combat, and roughly half of the white Zetsus had been destroyed. In order to preserve chakra, Naruto turned off his Shark Sage mode and chose to battle the conventional manner, saying, "Come on guys, let's wrap this up and help out Mei and the others." Before returning to that battle, Kisame, Raiga, Renmara, Watasumi, and Chojuro all united behind Naruto. Mei, Temari, and Utakata in tow, the combined forces of Kiri and Suna Shinobi fought against the overwhelming numbers of Konan's white Zetsu forces, while Mei, Temari, and Utakata engaged Konan in combat. Although the white Zetsu outnumbered the Shinobi, Konan posed the greatest threat on the battlefield due to his strength and jutsu expertise. Konan summoned a large amount of paper and started to form it into shuriken while she was soaring above the battlefield on her paper wings and peering down at Mei, Temari, and Utakata below. Konan yelled, "Paper Shuriken Jutsu," as she unleashed a tremendous storm of paper shuriken below. Temari, seeing this, opened her fan and started to charge her chakra. Temari yelled, "Wind Scythe Jutsu," as she swung her fan, unleashing a powerful wind jutsu that knocked her paper shuriken out of the air. Mei started using hand signs after realizing this. Magma style. Magma bullets. Konan had to start evading after Mei unleashed a barrage of magma bullets on him. Mei thought Konan had dealt a crippling blow when she banked to one side and a bullet caught the tip of her right wing, setting it on fire. Konan started to fall toward the ground. But as she severed her wing and created a new one, she realized that Konan had planned this. Konan then started to transform the burning wing into a huge paper ball. When the paper ball caught fire, Konan threw it at the throng of people below. Mei yelled, "Scatter," as soon as she saw this, going wide-eyed. Utakata pulled out his bubble pipe and surrounded himself with a bubble, and Mei and Temari were there when the paper ball hit the ground, roughly 50 yards away. The paper ball burst apart, scattering burning paper everywhere it hit, including Shinobi and Zetsu. The paper adhered to their bodies, spreading the flames throughout the area. Mei watched in horror as a mass of screaming, burning Shinobi let out pained cries. Mei's expression turned horrified as she recalled applying her fire and magma jutsu in a manner reminiscent of the Kiri Civil War. "Hey, Mei," someone said in echo until Mei took a blow to the back. "Mei," Temari yelled to get her attention. Temari said, "Focus on the fight," and Mei nodded. Mei said, "I'm sorry. Thanks." Dispelling his bubble shield, Utakata put his pipe to his lips again and started shooting streams of bubbles at Konan as she flew through the air. Conan noticed this and started to take off as soon as the bubble got close to her. The bubbles burst with the force of explosive tags that sent out shock waves that caused her to tremble while she was in the air. Mei cursed in her head as she concentrated on Conan while Utakata kept launching his explosive bubbles towards her. A trail of explosions followed her as she flew overhead. Oh no, we need to figure out a way to bring her down, as I'm not very good at long-range combat, Mei thought to herself as she started to perform the hand signals for water style. Water bullets. Mei started shooting Conan with water bullets while they attempted to take out the Akatsuki second in command. A. Yugito, and B in tow as he fought the white Zetsu forces with his troops. A was in his lighting chakra mode. The battle had been fairly evenly balanced thus far, with the Kumo shinobi holding their own against the Zetsus. Gra! Was the cry from A as he sliced a second white Zetsu in half. It dodged the oncoming attack with a back fist, stopping the other Zetsu in his tracks. The Zetsu lost his head to the back fist. It started to charge forward while holding both of his hands in front of him after spotting several Zetsu clones in a row. A split the group of Zetsu in half with a single motion, slicing them in half with a blur of speed. A got up and examined his handiwork, thinking, they may not be that strong, but damn, there are a lot of them. When A turned to look for B and Yugito, she saw that they were having difficulties. Yugito, in her big, two-tailed cat form, was getting ready to attack the resurrected Jinchuriki Roshi. Yugito yelled, "Cat flame roaring fire," as she hurled a huge ball of fire at Roshi, who leapt backward and made hand signals. Roshi yelled, "Earth style, volcanic dragon blast," as a bronze dragon head emerged from the earth and hurled lava in the direction of Yugito's fireball. When Yugito's fireball broke apart and the lava started to move in her direction, Roshi's jutsu prevailed over the other one. Just as the lava reached her location, Yugito leapt to the rescue. Roshi was about to strike Yugito once more when he looked up and saw B descending with all of his swords drawn. "Sup bitch," B yelled as he swung at Roshi with all 7 of his swords in an unusual barrage of blows. Roshi found it difficult to avoid the sword's blows because he was not acclimated to this. Roshi ducked under and proceeded through the hand signals, earth style. Shield of stone, dirt and clay rose up from the earth to envelop Roshi's body, then solidified to form a makeshift armor. Roshi dashed back in, his artificial armor bouncing off B's sword as he launched a counterattack. As he kicked, "The mighty killer," B remarked, "You be bad, but you're not as bad as me." Roshi grabbed B's foot, and B ceased rapping. With a, "Oh shit," comment, B let Roshi hit him in the face, shattering his nose and breaking his glasses before hurling him across the battlefield. "Sup bro, I survived that throw. Now can you put me down so I can go?" B yelled as he was being caught in midair. When he looked up, he saw that it was his brother. A. B screamed, "Gah, you dick," as A dropped him to the ground and B grabbed his broken nose, snapping it back into place. "Alright buddy, it's time to die. If you want something done, you better do it yourself," he said, glancing at Roshi. As A got closer to Roshi, he activated his lightning chakra mode and threw a horizontal chop in Roshi's direction. Roshi countered by ducking under A's chop and delivered a punch that was intended to connect, but A's lightning chakra mode and physical conditioning deflected the blow. When A kicked in the direction of Roshi's head, the latter leapt back and landed a few yards away. Upon inspecting the hand he used to punch A, Roshi saw that it was broken but was healing. Roshi concentrated on A and started going through hand signs. Earth style. Earth Dragon God Blast. Roshi cried out, slamming his hand to the ground. A body composed of stone and earth protruded behind the large bronze head of a dragon. The dragon moved in the direction of A, who prepared for its approach. With a shout that was eerily reminiscent of his father's strongest spear technique, A straightened out his hand like a spear point and charged towards the approaching earth dragon. The two jutsu collided as A sent his hand in the direction of the dragon. A's maneuver sliced through the dragon, destroying it, and then he fell to the ground, dislocating his ring and pinky fingers in the process. A looked at Roshi, grabbing his fingers and popping them back into place. "I got hurt even with lighting, the element that defeats Earth," A shocked exclaimed. "Damn, this isn't going to be easy." Abruptly, Roshi clasped his hands together and started to gather the chakra that was building up around him. Similar to Yugito, Roshi started to change until he assumed the form of a four-tailed monkey, a beast with many tails. Before turning to face B, the thought went, And now it just got harder. B, hurry up and turn into the 8 tails, we need the power. Let's get this fool, B exclaimed as he stood up and started to gather chakra. Then, he changed into his 8-tailed ox form. Alongside Itachi, Fu, Karen, Kurama, and Hana. With his claws ready to strike, Kurama ducked under Sasuke's arm as he swung his Susanoo's arm towards him while he was wearing his 4-tailed chakra cloak. Kurama struck Sasuke's Susanoo, inflicting damage with his long claws as he dragged them across the armor. With a demonic voice, Kurama commanded Uchiha to come and fight me. Quit hiding behind your Susanoo and face me like a man. Sasuke gritted his teeth in response. Sasuke yelled, "Get off me, you freak of nature," as he grabbed Kurama and launched him into the air. He then withdrew the bow from his Susanoo's arm and prepared an arrow. Kurama was prepared for the arrow that Sasuke shot. Before shooting the arrow, Kurama opened his mouth and formed a Biju bomb the size of a golf ball in his mouth. When the Biju bomb struck the arrow, it caused a huge explosion that shot dust and debris skyward. Kurama hurriedly formed a second Biju bomb and aimed it at Sasuke's Susanoo, but Sasuke blocked the approaching Biju bomb by putting both of Susanoo's arms in front of him. Kurama charged forward as the explosion sent Sasuke hurtling across the clearing and then crashing into trees. Kurama uttered the words, "Die Uchiha," as he leapt onto Sasuke's Susanoo and started to scratch at it, gradually eroding Sasuke's last line of defense. As Sasuke attempted to combat Kurama, he started to struggle. Sasuke thought, "What the hell is he?" as Kurama dug his claws into the Susanoo and started to pry it open. Taking out his sword, Sasuke aimed his Chidori spear at Kurama, with a lightning jutsu that pierced Kurama's body and sent him flying into a tree, where he was pinned. Sasuke's attack stunned Kurama. As he stood back up and started to move in Kurama's direction, Sasuke dispelled his Susanoo. "Looks like you were all talk," he smirked, "you couldn't even." Sasuke was startled when Kurama used his claws to break the Chidori spear, sending him tumbling to the ground. "Hee. That tickled a little," Kurama said to a startled Sasuke. With his sword charged with lightning chakra, Kurama charged at Sasuke and started to slash at him with his claws. Sasuke used his sword to parry and block Kurama's blows. As Sasuke struck Kurama, yelling, "What the hell are you?" Kurama reached out and grasped his sword just as lightning started to scream in his hands. Kurama said, "The last thing you'll see before you die," and then he slashed out at Sasuke once more. Fighting against Sasuke's forces, which were a combination of Orochimaru's test subjects and hold-out Auto Shinobi, were Itachi, Karen, Tayuya, Fu, and Hana. Itachi wanted to save chakra in case there was a counterattack, so he was only using his Sharingan to battle the enemy. Itachi ducked from a test subject's clawed swipe and slashed back with his sword, severing the test subject's arm and causing him to howl in agony. The test subject swung its remaining arm at Itachi once more. Seeing this, Itachi used his Sharingan to leap over his opponent and land a hit. Itachi then slashed his sword again while in midair. After killing the enemy and causing him to fall to the ground, Itachi severed the test subject's neck at the nape, striking the brainstem. When Itachi landed, he noticed several Auto Ninja were approaching him and started using hand signals. Fire style. Fireball Jutsu. Itachi launched a massive fireball at the gathering of advancing Auto Ninja, setting them on fire as it struck them. Gazing around, Itachi saw that his small Konoha ninja force was holding their own against the enemy. Itachi looked around, thinking, "This is going well. Just a little bit more and we'll be able to push them back." He saw Tayuya fighting a group of Auto Ninja while controlling her Doki with her flute. When Tayuya, accompanied by her flute, sent her club Doki in the direction of a group of Auto Ninja, the Doki lifted its club and swung it in their direction. The Auto Ninja dispersed, but one of them was hit by the club because he moved too quickly. Another group of ninja was about to attack, but Tayuya sent one of her other Doki in their direction. Fu was above the fight, using her wings to support herself from the air. As she noticed a volley of shuriken approaching her, she made quick moves to dodge the projectiles. Fu pulled out multiple explosive, tagged kunai and hurled them at the ground, intending to hit multiple groups of soldiers encamped. Hana was using her clan's jutsu and her claws to take out Auto Ninja while her 3 dogs approached and gestured with their hands. Fang over fang. Hana yelled as she and her dogs leapt in the direction of the enemy and started to spin in midair. As they tore through the enemy, Hannah and her dogs took on the appearance of spinning gray vortexes. Karen was fighting the auto ninja with her chakra chains, and she was holding her own fairly well. Karen sent one ninja her chain, which she then wrapped around his neck. Karen then proceeded to use him as a wrecking ball, swinging him in the direction of a group of test subjects. Karen was inhaling when she heard another loud boom emerge from the direction that Kurama had tricked Sasuke into going in an attempt to reduce the number of friendly casualties. Karen thought, "Please be safe, Kurama." A. Yugito, and B. in tow in his four-tailed monkey form, Roshi called forth multiple lava torrents from beneath the earth's crust and hurled them towards A. Yugito, and B. As the lava struck and splattered, sending globs of flaming magma all over the place, A. B. and Yugito all scattered. As Yugito transformed into a two-tailed cat, she charged at Roshi, repeatedly scratching him all over his body with her claws. Roshi reached over and caught Yugito before tossing her. After crashing into multiple trees and toppling them, Yugito stood back up and snarled at Roshi. After Yugito was knocked out, B made the decision to try his hand at fighting Roshi. He opened his mouth and started to charge a Biji bomb, which was not very powerful. "Take this sucker," B thought to himself as he shot Roshi with the little Biju bomb. A was alarmed when Roshi saw this and started to build his own powerful Biju bomb because he knew that B's bomb wasn't operating at maximum capacity and that the damage would only be slight. However, Roshi's was at maximum power, and everyone in the vicinity would perish if he fired it and both bombs collided. A yelled, "Holy fuck," as he charged at full speed toward Roshi. Just as Roshi was ready to detonate the Biju bomb, A kicked his head violently, knocking it sideways. As the Biju bomb started to fly off into the distance, Roshi fired it off to the west. Meanwhile, Mei, Tamari, and Utakata Mei was about to make another move when something caught her attention in the corner of her eye. Tamari, Utakata, and Mei were still fighting Conan as she flew through the air. There was a black dot flying through the air, miles behind the battle. Mei turned to face the black dot and said, "Hey, what the hell is that?" Tamari, Utakata, and Conan all turned to see it. "What's that thing?" Conan inquired, perplexed. Tamari squinted and rubbed her eyes, asking, "Is my vision getting worse? It feels like a floater or something." But Utakata, a Jinchuriki, saw what was happening and grabbed Mei and Tamari. Get down," he yelled, pulling the two women to the ground. About 5 miles away, the black dot disappeared into the wooded areas. Then there was a load explosion, and everyone, including the Kiri ninja and the Zetsu clan, turned to see a massive mushroom cloud. Before anyone could intervene, a strong wind blew through the area, toppling people and even carrying some away like rag dolls. The wind was so strong that even Conan was thrown to the ground. She managed to stop herself by using her paper wings, and after a few seconds, the wind subsided and dust and debris scattered everywhere. "What the fuck was that?" Tamari exclaimed, watching in disbelief as she felt a tap on her shoulder and recognized Mei. Conan was on the ground about 15 feet away from them, and I was pointing at him. Conan realized she was no longer in the air and looked at them with wide eyes. Mei yelled, "Get her," as she and the others stood back up and launched an assault on Conan. Returning with Yugito, B, and a "Nice save, bro," B exclaimed, "Take this monkey boy." Roshi was still too preoccupied to resist when B unleashed his Biju bomb on him. When the Biju bomb struck Roshi, the surrounding area trembled and dust and debris were thrown up, forcing ninja and Zetsu clones to brace themselves against the wind. Once everything had calmed down, B proudly observed the mound of smoke and flames. But this was quickly destroyed when multiple balls of magma shot out of the smoke and toward B. "Damn!" B yelled as the magma struck him and started to burn. A yelled, B, turning to face the smoke. Roshi emerged from it, his left side mutilated and reforming. "You bastard," A yelled, charging forward. With his lightning chakra mode activated, it sliced through Roshi's midsection, severing his body in two as the upper and lower halves hit the ground. A came to a stop a short distance away and turned to face Yugito. "Yugito, torch him," A commanded, and Yugito nodded. Fire style. Mouse hairballs. Yugito launched 12 blue fire hairballs in the direction of the downed Roshi, and as they struck, they burst into a conflagration. Roshi started to burn because his body was starting to break down more quickly than it was healing. A, Yugito, and B broke out of their Biju forms and ran over, all three of them standing over a smiling Roshi, saying, "Thank you," to each of them. Roshi closed his eyes as the fire consumed the seal inside his head, causing Roshi to burn completely. "Rest in peace, bro," B said, holding his arm. He was fine aside from the magma caused burn on his left arm. Hey, how's the hand?" B asked. A flexed his fingers and turned to face him. "Yugito, are you okay?" A asked, looking at Yugito. "My fingers are broken, but I still have another hand," A said. Yugito spoke and nodded. Yugito said, "I'm fine," and A gave a nod. A said, "Okay people, let's mop up and take these uglies out. I want to be back in camp for dinner." Yugito and B nodded in agreement, then turned to face the remaining Zetsu clones and charged back into battle. Together with Itachi, Fu, Hana, Kurama, Karen, and Tayuya. An auto shinobi started to flee and yelled, "Fall back." Another shinobi yelled, "Retreat," and he too fled. As the last of the enemy forces fled the battlefield, Itachi, Fu, Hana, Karen, and Tayuya watched on in relief. Glancing around, Itachi noticed that the Konoha shinobi they had brought were applauding their victory. Itachi exclaimed in shock, "We won, 500 versus 2,000. "Not that much of a surprise to me," Tayuya remarked, grabbing their attention. Orochimaru didn't exactly recruit the cream of the crop. Most of these fucks were just bandits, criminals, low-class ninja, and Orochimaru's fuck-ups. Tayuya laughed at this and sent her doki away. Karen interrupted Tayuya, saying, "That's why you were able to push us back during the Leaf invasion." "Okay, so we just need to find," Karen started, but then there was a loud explosion nearby in the woods. "Never mind, I think I just found him," she said. Itachi turned to face the Konoha ninja, giving them the order to leave a few patrols here to look for stragglers, and gather up the wounded and return to the camp. All of the Konoha ninja nodded in agreement, and Itachi hurried off to find Kurama with the others. Kurama and Sasuke were still fighting, and Sasuke was basically getting his ass kicked. Sasuke had already given Kurama multiple stab wounds, slashes, burns, and uses of Chidori. But it doesn't appear that he has suffered any significant harm. After avoiding another claw slash, Sasuke swung his sword in his direction, but Kurama extended his claw and grasped the sword. After breaking the sword in half, Kurama turned around and swatted Sasuke away with his tails. Sasuke was flung hard into a tree and fell to the ground, staring at Kurama. Sasuke snarled, "You bastard," Kurama said, "Uchiha, you're almost out of options. Give up, and I'll kill you and end your miserable existence." Sasuke gritted his teeth. "Kurama," was the voice that called out to Sasuke and Kurama. They turned to see Itachi, Fu, Tayuya, Hana, and Karen running up. "How's it going?" Karen inquired, and Kurama laughed. Sasuke started to charge up a Chidori as Kurama spoke to Karen, saying, "He really is an arrogant prick. He thinks just because he has the Sharingan that he..." Kurama laughed, saying, "The fool still thinks he can take on a Biju." Chidori. Sasuke bellowed as he swung his jutsu in Kurama's direction. Kurama pulled Sasuke's arm and then shivered, looking at him. Grinning, Kurama said, "It's impolite to interrupt a conversation." He then lifted his other hand and swung it in Sasuke's direction. Before kicking Sasuke back into the tree he had just gotten up from, Kurama severed his arm at the elbow. "Idiot," Kurama remarked. In a last-ditch effort to save himself, Sasuke turned to face Kurama and brandished his one Mangekyo Sharingan and one Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, calling them Amaterasu. Kurama jumped out of the way as the black fire roared past him as Sasuke shot black fire in his direction. Kurama landed and created a Biju bomb the size of a golf ball in his mouth. Kurama fired a small Biju bomb towards Sasuke, saying, "Enjoy the afterlife, boy." Sasuke saw this and closed his eyes as the bomb got closer to him. After the explosion caused the surrounding area to tremble and caused Itachi, Fu, Karen, Tayuya, and Hana to shield their eyes. Kurama stood there grinning and removed his cloak. As he turned to face his allies, Kurama declared, "The deed is done." Behind him, a good 10 acres of forest had been destroyed, and another section of the forest was on fire from Sasuke's black flames. "All right, Itachi, how does it feel to be the last Uchiha?" Kurama asked. "Not too good," Itachi said, sounding a little saddened by Sasuke's passing. "Karen, let's put out the flames." Itachi started to leave as Kurama approached Karen. Happy to see you're still here, my love, Kurama remarked, causing Karen to jump and give him a glare. As Karen started to leave, she called out, "Jerk, let's just seal up this damn fire." Alongside the auto forces, the 500 auto ninja that were left waited in a clearing while they made their decision. "We should go back to the mainland," one of them uttered. Another person said, "Oh yeah, and how do we do that, jackass?" One spoke up, "We left Lord Sasuke behind," and the others gave him a strange look. The first one stopped when he looked to the top of a nearby hill and froze in fear, saying, "Who cares?" The guy was delusional. At the top of the hill, Sasuke was missing an arm. His left eye was totally blind, and his right eye displayed his M's. Sasuke used Izanagi to save himself from death, but doing so cost him an eye. "Amaterasu," Sasuke declared, looking down at his remaining auto soldiers and thinking, "Cowards." The clearing was engulfed in black flames as the remaining auto shinobi started to scream in pain. Before the screaming stopped and Sasuke extinguished the black flames, this went on for a few minutes. As he hobbled away, Sasuke turned to face the scorched earth below and thought, "I need to find Lord Pain. I need medical attention." Raiga, Renmara, Kisame, Wadasumi, Chojuro, and Naruto. As he and the others tried to find anyone else who might require their assistance, Naruto began to feel uneasy because he had a bad feeling in his stomach. Naruto turned to face his allies as they ran after hearing the sounds of battle in the distance. Naruto nodded to the others, "Okay guys, let's hop in the fight and help them out." Naruto and the other person then burst through the tree line and discovered they were in a swap. Gazing sideways, Naruto observed Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi engaged in combat alongside a sizable group of Konoha shinobi. Kisame grinned and said, "Looks like they're having a party. Let's go have some fun." Darn it, Naruto thought, "May, hold on. I'll be there soon." He took out his sword and prepared for combat. Naruto yelled, "Let's you guys," and he and the other swordsmen charged in. Mei, Tamari, and Utakata in tow as a barrage of paper shuriken approached Mei. She made hand signals and formed a water-style water wall barrier in front of herself, stopping the majority of the shuriken. Mei yelled, "Crap," as she withdrew the paper projectiles and was struck in the left hand and right leg. Nevertheless, a few made it through. Conan leapt back and attempted to get back into the air, but Tamari quickly confronted her by leaping above her. "No you don't," Tamari said, returning her fan, Wind Scythe Jutsu. With a wind jutsu, Tamari knocked Conan hard back to the ground. When Conan attempted to stand back up, Utakata attacked her with exploding bubbles, causing Conan to flee as the bubbles exploded behind her. She ran to a group of Zetsus she spotted as she was doing this. Conan commanded, "Distract them," and Mei understood what she was doing. Mei charged the Zetsu clones, shouting, "She's trying to beg back into the air." She punched one, then kicked and swept its leg into another. Mei was struck in the jaw by a clone's punch, causing her to spit up blood. Nevertheless, Mei managed to grab the clone's arm and hurl it onto the ground with a shoulder throw. Mei broke open its head with a stomp, then turned to face Conan and yelled, "Don't let her get into the air." Tamari and Utakata prepared to strike, but they both stopped at the sound of the cry. A famine shout titled, "Earth Style Rock Barrage," suddenly erupted, and when Conan turned to face it, hundreds of rocks and stones were hurtling toward her at a rapid pace. Conan lost momentum and fell to the ground as the rocks and stone penetrated her paper body and wings. She landed in a crouch and turned to face her new foes. Mei questioned, "What are you doing here?" as Tamari, Utakata, and Mei all stared on in disbelief. Speaking with a smile, Kuretsuchi and roughly 1,000 Iwa ninja stood off to the side. "My grandfather didn't want Iwa to help. But he never said anything about our missing ninja," she remarked. When Kuretsuchi noticed that her forehead protector had been removed, she grinned and said, "We're the Iwa Volunteer Corps." Kuretsuchi yelled, "Now then, growing serious. Iwa ninja. Attack," she exclaimed, and the rogue Iwa ninja surged forward to cheers and battle cries. Mei grinned at this and stood back up, saying, "Let's finish this fight," just as the battle was about to change direction.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.